The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Hello, this is Zack Sabre Jr., New Japan Cup winner 2018. And you're listening to Keeping It Strong Style with my mates. Enjoy.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the Ace of Podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith and independent wrestling standout Tony Donati. On today's show, we will review Dominion and cover all its news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/socialsuplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. This week's episode is brought to you by the NJPW EXT, the only browser extension for NJPWWorld.com. Frequently updated and with features like dark mode, improved translations and layouts, custom and share playlists, synchronized viewing parties, and much, much more. It takes NJPW World to the next level. You can visit njpwext.us today for details. And like you heard in the intro, we are joined by Tony Donati. You might
not just Tony Donati, not just independent wrestling standout Tony Donati, but this is an AEW alumni, okay? This is the former Sai Dojo World Heavyweight Champion and
current.
Never
been beaten.
And one half of the most dominant tag team in Diamond Championship Wrestling history, undisputed Triple Crown champions, along with the fabulous Fabu Andre. Tony, what's up, man?
It's good to be here. Thanks for the great intro from you two guys.
Yeah,
good to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you on the show. Listeners, you might recognize the name Tony Donati from AEW Dark. You know, during the pandemic days in Jacksonville, at Daly's Place, they had the marathon tapings, and Tony and his partner Fabu were several of the standout guys there that were doing tons of those late night dark tapings. Yeah,
you say late night. We had a few matches at like 1 a.m, past midnight for sure.
Oh man, and also like Josh mentioned, Sai Dojo trainee, trained a little bit with the young boy Josh Smith. Tony, how would you rate Josh's performance during his time at Sai Dojo?
Oh,
5 stars, obviously.
Yeah, clearly 5 stars. No, Josh was good. You know, he was getting the hang of it. He had a really good grasp of how to wrestle. He just needed to get in a little better shape. We needed some more dojo squats and dojo push-ups out of him.
That's right. When it came to the graps and in between the squared circle, I got it done. Okay. It's just that other bullshit that you don't really need, like physical fitness,
like the cardio.
Yeah, you don't need any of that.
Agility, flexibility, speed, explosivity, athleticism. That shit doesn't matter. But when it comes to the wrestling, okay,
Josh excels.
Well, no, but in all seriousness, Tony's probably aside. I mean, Matt was like my primary trainer, but like, you know, Matt was only there half the time. Like Tony probably spent more time training me than anybody else.
Yeah, You know, at that time I was helping Matt a lot because he was gone with AEW all the time. And, you know, I was there from the beginning. When Matt opened his school, I was his only student for, I don't know, 6 months.
Wow. Well, there's been a lot of people that have come out of that school that have gone on to do really great things. You're one of them. And, you know, I remember a while back you reached out to me and you were like, yo, I got invited to do this podcast. Should I do it? And I was like, yeah, you should definitely do it. So I was surprised to learn that this is your first podcast appearance anywhere. Like, we're definitely privileged and honored.
Ever. Never done a podcast before. Gotta only go for the ace.
That's right. And Tony, anytime we have new guests on the show, I like to get their background on with New Japan. So when did you first start watching New Japan Pro Wrestling?
Or even just Japanese wrestling in general?
Well, I knew about Japanese wrestling, like, I guess from the periphery, because my favorite wrestlers were all like Calgary guys. So, you know, they had that thing back and forth in New Japan. So, like, I knew it existed. I just didn't watch it, I guess. The first matches that I remember seeing from New Japan specifically were Dynamite and Tiger Mask.
Nice.
And then I got into Japanese wrestling heavily after I started training with Matt. And that's almost exclusively all that I watch. You know, I don't really keep up with the American stuff. It's almost all Japanese or Mexican.
So,
Nice.
I mean, probably because of Matt, like a lot of Lucha Rezu influence.
Yeah, you know, Dragon Gate would be number one because that's fits close to his style.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah, I do watch a lot of. You know, I watch the Best of the Super Juniors. I'm still getting caught up on this year's tournament, but I saw like the big matches as they were happening. I go back and watch most of the matches. I might skip through some, and I'll watch, you know, Wrestle Kingdom. And obviously this year I watched Dominion, but I don't watch every big show every year.
Yeah,
Nice.
too
But I was
busy
at the show
taking
in,
dates, right?
I'm sorry, what?
It's too busy with dates, right? You're running the town.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're usually booked when a show's going on, so I don't get to see many of them. I watched the Long Beach show earlier this month. Yeah, some of it.
Nice. So, who's your favorite New Japan wrestler?
It's hard not to say Tanahashi, but probably right now Shingo.
Nice. Can't go
Just a
wrong
big-
with either of those picks.
A big mark for Shingo, and you know, like I feel like Tanahashi gets he gets grandfathered into being everybody's favorite.
Yeah.
You would think.
And then last thing here, what's your favorite New Japan match?
I guess I'd have to go with the Dynamite and the Tiger Mask series because that's what got me in to New Japan to start with. But a more recent one would be Okada and Omega from Dominion. What was that, 2017?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 2 out of 3 falls match.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
That would be one of the ones like that got me into Japanese wrestling before I started training. Like I watched, you know, I got New Japan World for that because I heard all the buzz about those two guys.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like one of those matches where you're like, I didn't know people could wrestle on this level ever.
Oh yeah, it completely opened my mind. I was like, oh, this is way different than what I'm used to seeing.
Before we jump into the Dominion review, Josh and I got to do some housekeeping business. So May is over. We're in June. That means we have to crown the May Wrestler of the Month and the May Match of the Month. And man, we had a ton of candidates for both of these awards here. Really, really tough choices. I mean, literally right before we started recording, we had like the final decision meeting on this. So Josh, let the people know our Match of the Month for May.
Yeah, and I mean, this probably speaks to how good the Super Juniors tournament was this year. And while we were definitely critical of certain aspects of that tournament, there's no doubt that this was the best of the Super Juniors tournament that they've had since before the pandemic, which is really saying something. And there's probably at least minimum of 4 matches that could have been Match of the Month. And I'll list off the honorable mentions. Desperado versus Francesco Akira, Leo Rush versus Speedball Mike Bailey, and Hiromu versus Speedball Mike Bailey were all top candidates. But ultimately, me and Jeremy, we felt like we needed to go with the finals, the grand match, that's the one between Master Wato and Teton to decide everything. And just a blowaway match. We did our review last week, so if you didn't catch that, go ahead and rewind a little bit, give us another little download, let's get some money and listen to that. But what a fantastic match, and what an incredible blow off to the tournament. And, easily probably a top 7, top 8 finals in the history of this, illustrious tournament. So, I mean, and if you disagree and you had any of those matches that we mentioned, you wouldn't be wrong, because we're kind of splitting hairs here.
Yeah, I mean, this one did get the big 5 stars from Uncle Dave, so big shout out there for Wato and Teton getting the 5 stars. And yeah, I think a lot of people really enjoyed this final because they weren't really expecting it, and these guys went out here, killed it. Like I said, we reviewed it last week. Great stuff. And then for our Wrestler of the Month, similar to Match of the Month, we had many candidates. Speedball, Mike Bailey was awesome throughout the tournament. Several 4-star plus matches throughout the tournament. Leo Rush, again, another great tournament. Hiromu Takahashi, a guy that was probably the most consistent performer throughout the tour. But we are going to go with the winner of the tournament, Master Wato. Wato Mania is running wild, brother.
First time he's ever won Wrestler of the Month. Really, really big deal here. And I will admit to you, in most cases, if someone was just the most consistent performer across the board, we'll usually give it to them. That's probably Hiromu. And we didn't feel like he peaked, even though he had some great matches, and he had the match with Sonata on top of it. It just kind of felt like Wato down the stretch just came on so strong and got that nudge of improvement down the tail end of the tournament that we kind of needed to go with Wato, which again, if you disagree and you had Desperado or Leo Rush or Speedball, which if we'd given it to Speedball, he would have been probably the first Wrestler of the Month not affiliated with the company, which we almost did that. So incredible tournament, incredible month. May just fucking rocked. And yeah, congrats, Master Wato. Someone tweet him, let him know.
your awards in the mail. All right, well, let's jump into Dominion 2023 from Osaka-jo Hall this past Sunday, June 4th. A little over 1,000 people in attendance for this. No clap crowd, live cheering crowd for this great show. We'll start from the opening match, work our way down to the main event, answer questions in between. So let's start from the beginning of the show. We had the IWGP United States Heavyweight Title #1 contendership match. Will Ospreay, the leader of the United Empire, defeats the Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer, in 8 minutes and 1 second. Josh, what do you think about this one?
You said there's just over 1,000 people there. It was Osaka-jo Hall. They had over 7,000.
Over 7,000.
Oh, did I mishear that, or did maybe I missed?
Or maybe I missed it, but over 7,000 people.
I was like, damn, there was only 1,000 people there. That seems wrong. Yeah, this opener between Ospreay and Lance Archer, there were a lot of concerns going into this match. Just people kind of were down on Lance after last year's G1, and he's kind of been off TV and that sort of thing. And then Will Ospreay was recently injured, and he looked good, but there was definitely some noticeable wear and tear during his match with Tanahashi a week or so ago. So a lot of questions about how these two, even though they've had great matches in the past, how they might jive. And bro, I fucking loved this match. I think I'm way higher on it than what I'm seeing on Cage Match and just kind of across the board. You know what this reminds me of, Jeremy? Remember when Cody wrestled Kota Ibushi at Wrestle Kingdom? And I was like, I'm not going to oversell it. I'm not going to tell you this was a 5-star classic, but I just personally really liked this match. That's how I feel about this. Not going to sit here and claim it was match of the night, but I'm such a mark for guys that just go, 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 go. Don't get me wrong. I like a good headlock takeover. I like a good wrist lock, but these guys just went fucking balls to the wall, and it was nothing but big spot, big spot, big spot, and it was awesome. And the crowd was loving it. I'm not sure what the disconnect is with the American audience, but you know, I don't know. If you want to talk about hot openers, quote unquote, you can't get much hotter than these guys just going balls to the wall for less than 8 minutes and hitting all their big shit and then just getting out of there. So we found out that Lance Archer was also coming off an injury going into this match. So both guys were kind of recovering. I loved it. You know, like those two guys just hitting every big move, and, you know, Archer doing dives off of the apron to the floor and them brawling onto the outside and everything. Like, it just fucking rocked. Like, I don't know who wouldn't like this. I don't know. Maybe I get different taste than everybody else, but I fucking love this. I thought this match was awesome.
What do you think, Tony?
No, I agree with Josh. This match was great. It was one of the most fun matches I've seen to like open a show. They just went in there and did it. Archer jumped him, didn't he?
Yeah, he jumped him.
Yeah, to start the match. Oh, and
yeah,
and he was hitting all the young boys too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't let up from there. Ospreay hit like a cutter like 2 or 3 minutes into the match.
Yeah.
You know, he hit his big move like 2 minutes into the match.
Yeah,
This match was awesome.
Yeah, I love the match too. You know, it was that go pace, a lot of big moves. These guys are hitting each other really hard, and you know, these guys have a great history of matches back to 2019 New Japan Cup and the G1 from Dallas. Josh and I were there live for that matchup, and they teased the same spot at the beginning where in Dallas, Archer chokeslammed Ospreay through a table, but Ospreay was able to counter it this time. But yeah, these guys had a lot of great back and forth ending sequence. Ospreay was just killing Archer with the hidden blades. Had to hit like 4 or 5 of them to get Archer to stay down. I did pop for the near finish on the blackout.
The blackout? Yeah.
Because usually nobody kicks out of that. So I was like, oh, Archer beat this man.
Yeah, nobody kicks out of the blackout. I was like, I think I was like, there's no way they're gonna have Archer win. But it was pretty shocking to see like Ospreay kick out of that move.
Yeah. So yeah, Ospreay gets a big win here post match. Calls out Kenny Omega, says it's going to be him versus Canada. No better way than to, get revenge, get his title back, but to go into Canada and beat Kenny Omega.
One other thing I really liked about this was even though Will has been working this big man style for the last couple of years and really kind of reacclimating to a heavyweight style, because he was working Archer, he sort of did have to revert to being like the aerial assassin again. And obviously he wasn't doing all the high flying and flips he used to do, but like they definitely worked it like junior man, like, David Goliath sort of deal. And I just really enjoyed that. And this might even be like the best, like the most I enjoyed an Archer match in years, because for whatever reason, he just seems super motivated when he's with Will.
Yeah.
Backstage comments, Will was hilarious. He was like, where did this idea that Canadians are nice guys come from? He's like, it's definitely a myth. Let's look at the evidence. He's like, Chris Jericho, asshole. He was like, Don Callis, asshole.
He's like Bret Hart.
He's like Bret Hart, always moaning and groaning. So I was sort of expecting Kenny to, maybe make a Titantron appearance or maybe even show up live, and he didn't. So, but we're getting the match, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely excited about that. We had a question here from Rambo and Slam Pig. As you guys talked about your take on the Ospreay Omega series in the past, specifically about the possibility of a trilogy. Do you still think that is the direction? If so, does Forbidden Door set up a Wembley finale, or that need to be in Japan?
I don't want to get too analytical with it because there's a lot of booking scenarios, and quite frankly, we don't know where they're going. But I've played so many different options in my head as to where this might go, where it might end up, whether that's Wembley, whether that's next year's Wrestle Kingdom. But anything's on the table right now. They could go 1 for 1 and just walk away, or this could be setting up, a trilogy, and maybe Ospreay picks up the win here, and then they have to do the rubber match. They also might do what FTR and Briscoes did last year, where like the Briscoes lost the first 2 and then got the final big win over FTR in the end. And I'm kind of leaning that way, but I'm also apprehensive. How do you justify a Wembley or a Wrestle Kingdom match if Ospreay loses twice in a row. Like there needs to be some sort of stakes or some sort of legitimate booking reason to justify that match. And I'm not sure how they get there, but I'm excited we're getting it again either way.
What do you think, Tony?
No, I agree. That Ospreay probably has to win the second one for there to be a third. Because this has been kind of drawn out, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been since January.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been longer than that, hasn't it? Haven't they had issues for years when Kenny was still in New Japan?
I guess in kayfabe, yeah,
Yeah.
they have actually.
Yeah, this is a really long with, maybe they haven't had that many matches. I think they've only wrestled that one time, right?
They wrestled in PWG. What was that, like
15 years
yeah.
years ago? Like
Yeah, it
before
doesn't really count.
Cole was even in the company.
I think it's time for Ospreay to beat him if they're going to do 3. But yeah, I don't really know. They got Forbidden Doors, the next one, right?
Yeah,
Right.
So Forbidden Door, June 25th. Seems like that'll be where the second match will happen. And then, yeah, we got
they could do a no finish.
I didn't think of that, but that's true.
Yeah, they could do a draw. They could do a double DQ, double count out.
All right, they're Giant Baba. One thing that makes me nervous, though, and I think might potentially be on their minds is think about Will, and not just Will, Kenny too. The last couple of years, both guys have been plagued and riddled with a lot of injuries, and you know how hard they're going to be going on that night in June, especially since they've. We'll get to it, but spoiler alert, Danielson and Okada are also going to be against each other that night, and I'm sure all 4 guys are going to be trying to outdo one another.
Oh yeah.
Do they have enough to get to another match between them? Plus, Will's got the G1 in front of him on top of all that. It's tough.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough schedule. I mean, I agree. I do think Will needs to win, or it needs to be a no finish to set up the third big one. Selfishly, I don't want the third one in Wembley because I'll be there. But I could definitely see them maybe wanting to wait until Tokyo Dome and have Will kind of get that big win in Japan, especially, with the rumors of Will's contract being up February of 24. It would be good to kind of get him that big win and maybe help get him locked down to a new contract.
Well, they don't have to rush it. This can go on for a long time, right?
Yeah.
No.
No.
I don't have the patience for a long drawn out thing. Let's get it now.
Let's do it in June and then do it in July.
Yeah.
Let's just get it over with.
What's wrong with that?
Well, let's move on to the next matchup here. We had the LIJ team of Bushi, Shingo Takagi, Tetsuya Naito, and Teton defeating the Just 5 Guys team of Doki, Taichi, Taka Michinoku, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru.
Do you guys think that before the matches start that Teton is evangelizing all of LIJ, because this man loves Jesus? He's got it all over his jacket, and I just got the feeling that he's trying to probably save the soul of Hiromu Takahashi. You know what I mean?
It's possible.
Speaking of that, Tony got a Christian wrestling company shut down. So
whoa! I didn't do it single-handedly. I wasn't the only one in that match.
No, but in all seriousness, this kind of was nice. It was like a setup for the ongoing feud that's been transpiring between LIJ and Just 5 Guys, and also quasi preview for the main event for later in the evening between Sonata and Tsuji. So this was kind of cool, and I sort of feel like it was the kind of go home match for Teton, who's definitely slated to go back to Mexico. And so he got the big win here and, got his final bows and adulation and kind of just soaking it up from the crowd. And I mean, probably deservedly so, considering he had, outside of Eddie Guerrero and Dr. Wagner Jr., I would say the greatest run in a Best of Super Juniors for any luchador or Mexican-born wrestler in the whole history of the tournament. So, they gave him the big win, the big go home. He got to do the bow and everything like that. So
Nice. Tony, any thoughts on that one?
I mean, I love the match. I thought, it's not going to steal the show. It's kind of just like a regular multi-man. And I didn't know any of the Just Five Guys versus LIJ. I haven't been keeping up with any of that. And I'm probably biased because I'm a mark for like over half of these guys. We had Titan, Shingo, Taka, Kanemaru, and Naito were all in the same match. So I loved it.
Nice. Yeah, definitely a fun, LIJ multi-mans. You can't go wrong when you have those guys in any kind of, 8-man or 10-man tag. And yeah, a lot of great interactions here. Came down to the end with Teton getting the big win over Taka. And like you mentioned, Josh, definitely kind of like the kind of final kind of bow for Teton for this period of time. He's going to go back to CMLL, get ready for some big matches and tours down in Mexico. And I'm sure we'll probably see him maybe at the All-Star Junior Festival in August in Philadelphia.
And Fantastica Mania.
That's right. They're doing a Fantastica Mania in Mexico on June 30th with New Japan and CMLL. So,
and I don't know why, but I'm much more excited for like a Fantastica Mania crossover into Mexico than I am for any of the like domestic crossovers with like Noah or Dragon Gate or All Japan. Like, I don't know why. Like, it doesn't mean anything more than those ones do, but like, I guess I just like that lucha.
Well, our good friend Rocky Romero will be defending his NWA historic welterweight title on the show. So,
I don't think you're allowed to call it the NWA World Historic title anymore.
Well, what's the official name for it?
Isn't that what it's called, Josh?
What did you say? You said the NWA World Historic?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that is what it. I don't know. They change it sometimes. Like it's weird.
Yeah. Regardless, he will be defending.
Don't mind me. I don't watch Friday Night Arena Mexico.
He will be defending that title. Against Volador. So moving on to the next match, we had the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles on the line. The challengers, Catch 2-2, Francesco Akira, and TJP, defeated the champions, the Intergalactic Jet Setters of Kevin Knight and Kushida, 10 minutes and 38 seconds.
These guys had a match when Catch 2-2 were the champions leading into Best of the Super Juniors. And we did a preview, and we pretty much both came to the conclusion that we thought Catch 2-2 was going to retain their titles. We gave all the logical reasons for why that should be the case. Obviously, they dropped the belts to Intergalactic Jet Setters. And now, just a few days out from that tournament, Catch 2-2 have regained those titles. And now it's sort of like, oh, like all the reasons we thought they would retain the first time were valid. They just delayed it a month until the conclusion of Super Juniors, and now they're champions again. Kind of going back and giving even a little bit more history on this, we sort of had a lot of assumptions about how the Intergalactic Jet Setters were going to perform during the Best of the Super Juniors, just kind of based on history, based on how IWGP Tag Team Champions are sort of booked in those tournaments. And they kind of just turned the booking on their heads entirely. Like Kevin Knight did a lot better in the tournament than we thought he would, considering the fact that he was the junior member of the team and just a recent graduate from the dojo system. And then on the flip side, you had Kushida, who did abysmal from a kayfabe standpoint, and we did not see that coming whatsoever. We were really like questioning going into this match last week, what does all this mean? Like, are we going to see a redemptive story where it's like, the Jet Setters are better together than they are apart, or was what we saw in the tournament, a testament of things to come? And I think that's exactly what we got here. The match was really good. Everybody was great, but I kind of felt like we saw a quasi squash match where Catch 2-2 sort of just dominated the Intergalactic Jet Setters. And even though they had their hope spots, they never really came back. They just kind of got dominated in a way that I was not expecting. And then they got beat definitively. And it's really great for Catch 2-2 because they're one of the best tag teams going today. But you have to wonder, like, what does this mean for Kevin Knight and Kushida going forward? Like, I know they're both going back to America, but I don't know what they're trying to tell us. Maybe it's just like yeah, like they're not at the level anymore. I don't know.
What do you think, Tony?
I was impressed with TJP and probably won't butcher his name, Francesco
Akira.
Francesco. I put his two names together. I had never seen them tag together. They were great. And I had never seen Kevin Knight before either. That guy's super athletic.
Yeah.
But yeah, Josh, they never really seemed like they got going with Knight and Kushida. Every time they'd get rolling, something would happen and they'd get knocked right back off.
Yeah, so it's almost like the first, the previous title match where Jet Setters won was almost like a fluke. Like, I think Catch 22 underestimated them, and, they kind of pulled the upset there. But now these guys were more locked in, more motivated, more focused, and, yeah, they were just crisp. Like, all their double team moves were great. They were cutting off Knight and Kushida pretty much at every stop there. Like you mentioned, there was a few hope spots there, but for the most part, it was all Catch 2-2. They hit their leaning tower cutter, and then their finisher, the Catch 2-2 double knees, and retain the titles. And then post-match, we had a big angle here. So Akira and TJP, they were seconded by the Drilla, Dan Maloney, and all of them were in the ring together celebrating. And then out comes 100 proof Clark Connors from the Bullet Club. And we're like, oh, this makes sense. Clark is challenging, but who's his partner going to be? Because Ishimori is injured. Out of nowhere, Dan Maloney jumps he jumps Akira and TJP, and it's revealed that Maloney is now a member of Bullet Club, and Maloney and Clark Connors will be teaming to challenge Catch 2-2.
The most infamous turn of his teammates in the history of wrestling since the time Seth Rollins hit Roman Reigns in the back with that steel chair on Monday Night Raw. This was on that level. No, but in all seriousness, last week I was really wondering and kind of like, I kind of sounded stupid now that I think about it, but I was like, yeah, like what's the deal? Like Dan Maloney's so involved in this story, but like he's not winning the titles, but like he didn't feel like their muscle the week before. Like, why is he interjecting himself? And I was like, maybe they're going to make him like the quote unquote junior ace of United Empire. Like, yeah. Wrong. I was wrong. Like, completely wrong. They got us. And it's good when they get us because it's not fun to always be right about everything the company is doing. We were really bought in when Dan Maloney and Clark Connors went to that to that count out finish at the end of Super Juniors. And we're like, damn, when these guys lock it up again, they got
it's gonna be great.
They got real heat, Nope, that's not what's happening. Like, but you know what's funny? I did say that if those two dudes got together, and I was just joking, I was like, they're gonna be Junior Hansen and Brody. Well, they might be Junior Hansen and Brody because those are some fucking yoked dudes for being juniors. Like, yeah, I'm excited. And like, this is just another piece of this evolving Bullet Club that David Finley and, Gato and the rest of the booking committee are laying out for us. We've been getting questions for years. How would you save the Bullet Club? What are you going to do to save the Bullet Club? And we're like, fuck, I don't know. Just end it. Well, I kind of like what they're doing now. They got a bunch of like young stud killers in this thing, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and with Maloney, we were joking, throughout his tournament, he's like, throwing up the crowns up like, the whole time. Like, why does he keep throwing up the crowns up like over and over and over again? But I think it was definitely to oversell the fact that he wanted people to think, he's United Empire for life to really help this Bullet Club turn be effective, which I think it definitely was. And his post-match comments were great. They go back there and then he's like, after my brawl with Clark, I wanted a beer to, drown my sorrows. And TJP's, yapping at me not to drink, not to smoke, giving me a lecture. And then I go to Akira and he's like, do you want some bubble tea? He's like, bubble tea? I want a beer. He's like, Clark was there. We drank beers together. And I learned that there are men in New Japan and there are boys. We're the men. Catch 2-2, they're the boys.
Nice. I saw that they jumped them when they're at the celebration table. Like usually when you win a title, they sit you down in front of the table and do the whole press conference deal. And I heard they jumped them and flipped it over the table and shit.
Yeah, they jumped them, threw them a table, gave like, the table's for you, champs. The table's for you. And they like threw them on the table.
Strong style table.
We did have some questions here from this matchup. First from Reddit user Jake8Jake. He says, I'm still so unsure of why Kushida lost all but 2 matches in Best of Super Juniors. I had thought Dominion might expand upon his story, but other than Kevin Kelly mentioning it briefly, they just lost the tag titles, and that was that. I'm even more baffled by his Best of Super Junior. Any insights I may have missed?
Last week I went on a really long rambling tangent about how this story might play out, and I gave probably 4 or 5 different possibilities, and I really couldn't reiterate more than what I said last week. Right now, the way I see it, they've given us some breadcrumbs. They've given us some things to think about, and maybe they will pick up on that story as they continue to use Kushida. So it's not very often New Japan just leaves even if it's a minor story, they don't usually just leave it waving in the wind. That does happen from time to time, but not often. So I think there's definitely something happening with Kushida. It might not be what everybody wants. I think a lot of people are hoping like this is leading to an ultimate heel turn and now he's going to be a badass like Sonata. I don't think that's it. I think they're telling you this man's cooked. He's old. He's got to figure some shit out.
Man went to the Fed, got worse, came back.
You go work for H for a while, You get worse,
Man was out there doing the Largo loop, thinking life was sweet.
He forgot his fighting spirit because he had these agents in his ear telling him what to do, when to do it. And, he lost his fighting spirit. That's all there is to it.
Let's see. Next question here. Hawaiian Punch BV says, Clark Connors and Dan Maloney became a tag team after beating the crap out of each other. Did you guys become friends after brawling in a bar one day and decide to start Kiss the week after?
Me and Jeremy we never had a fight.
No, never.
Of any kind.
Not verbal, not physical.
But I've had some one-sided ass kickings from Tony.
It's all for your training, Josh.
Is that how you became friends? Tony just chopped you a lot?
Tony's the person that made me learn very quickly. I don't like to get chopped very much.
Bro, Josh always went to the bathroom when it was time to work on chops.
No, that's not true. I stuck around. I took them. But, if I might have shed a tear or, here and there. But, I don't like getting chopped sucks.
The last question here from the Dark Soldier says, Maloney turns on United Empire to join Bull Club. Most shocking heel turn since Hogan in 96.
I was going to make a joke when you said Clark Connors was coming down and you weren't sure why. I was going to be like, whose side is he really on? No, but whose side is he? Or what the fuck did Bobby Heenan say?
Yeah, I think he's like, whose side is he on?
They're like, would you stop? What do you mean, whose side is he on?
So moving on to the next match, we had the NJPW World Television title match. The champion, Zack Sabre Jr., retains, defeating Jeff Cobb in 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
One of the things that makes New Japan so great, especially when it comes to them nailing big match or big shows like Dominion, is the variety that's provided. And you look at the card, we're 4 matches in, and you start off, you get this go all action sprint to open it, then you have an 8-man tag, road to style match, then you get the junior high flying tag team match, and then you get your technical classical style wrestling between 2 guys that have already gone out there the month prior, and this was the return match. And I loved this match. I thought Zach and Jeff worked so well together. Jeff is a guy, his whole career, people have called him Mr. Athletic, and they always talk about all these different things he brings to the table, whether it's his athleticism, high flying, or his power. But the thing that's really coming to light in this series with Zack Sabre Jr. is like how great of a technical wrestler he can be when he needs to be, delve into that aspect of his game. And it might actually be the thing that's stopping him from winning these matches, because I think he's playing a little bit too much of Zach's game. And that kind of probably was the downfall. The last match, they went the 15-minute time limit, so I was sort of expecting this to go a little longer. But down the stretch, Jeff got the upper hand. He really was starting to get the best of Zach, and it looked like he was getting ready to do a tour of the islands. And Zack Sabre Jr. figured out another wacky, crazy counter roll-up to get out of that. And this time he was able to keep the big man down for the 1-2-3. I was expecting a title change here, to be honest, on a big show like this after the tease from the month prior. But Zach continues to be the best reigning champion on the undercards in anywhere in the world. Don't let the fucking liars tell you that Orange Cassidy has the best story and the best title run going in wrestling. That's not true. It does not hold a candle to the output that Zack Sabre Jr. is putting in month after month, week after week across multiple companies. This guy rules. This match was awesome.
I agree. That crucifix was really slick for the finish. That was awesome. But I really liked how the when Cobb was up, the pace was picking up and going faster and faster. And when Sabre got up with all these crazy holds that he always comes up with, he would slow it down, bring him down to the mat. So I mean, again, I thought this match ruled. I didn't know that they all have 15-minute time limits for Sabre's matches.
All the world TV title matches are all 15-minute time limits.
Yeah, see, so that was new to me. So I didn't know if Sabre was going to try to hold on to just get the time limit draw and hold the title. I thought it was great.
Yeah, definitely a great matchup. Kind of a great follow-up from the previous match last month where they went to the 15-minute draw. And so I definitely thought with that, they would lead to
Okay, so they drew the month before?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that, I was definitely thinking maybe, we would get finally a title change. Because like Josh mentioned, Zach, this is his 10th defense of the title since winning it in January at Wrestle Kingdom. And so he's just been on an absolute tear. But we should probably have realized that with the story that's going on in Ring of Honor, that he wasn't going to drop the belt. They're doing this kind of TV title storyline with Zach and the ROH TV champ Samoa Joe, and they've been teaming on Ring of Honor TV and kind of quasi-feuding a bit. And they're kind of continuing that story, I think, on ROH TV this week. So we might end up seeing Sabre versus Joe at Forbidden Door.
How would I realize that, Jeremy?
Because, you're supposed to stay tuned to what's going on.
Okay, I'm not going to watch fucking Ring of Honor on Honor Club. This is not happening. So whatever's going on ROH, I'll cherry pick in from time to time. But stories, I don't know what stories are going on over there.
But yeah,
I'm supposed to realize. Come on.
That tour of the islands counter into the crucifix pin was just beautiful. Like the momentum swing and then just the drop into it. Everything about that was great. So a big win there for Zach. And post match, he goes to Kevin Kelly, and it's like, that boy's just too strong. He's too strong. I had to use mental checkers to beat him. So good stuff there. That takes us to the next matchup. We had the IWGP Tag Team titles and NJPW Strong Openweight Tag Team titles on the line. Titles were vacant due to Aussie Open vacating both titles due to Mark Davis's torn meniscus. So we had an opportunity for new champs here, and the team of Bishamon, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi, they defeated Evil and Yujiro Takahashi from the House of Torture, and Aaron Henare and Great Okan from the United Empire.
I think, and I could be wrong here, so forgive me if I'm incorrect, but I think Marty Asami reffed this match.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I know in the early days of the show, we used to rag on the referees for how incompetent they are in New Japan, and that was like a running bit and kind of got tired, but this was egregiously bad refereeing. All six of them dudes was in the ring for so fucking long in this match. I mean, they should have just done a Texas tornado at the rate that this thing was.
I agree with that. This was like a whole brawl.
There was such a long stretch where I'm like, are you going to do anything?
Well, there was one part where I think it was Hanare and Okan, Hanare went for a pin and then Okan went for the pin. I'm like, how can that happen?
How they both can't be the legal man. All right, I don't mean to sound like JR, but enough is enough, and it's time for a change. No, but in all seriousness, aside from that one little nitpick, this could have been a lot worse than it ended up being. I thought this was a pretty enjoyable tag team match. All all 6 guys are very well, aside from Yujiro, all 5 guys are very talented in that ring. And I think that Jeremy was sort of thinking last week that we were going to get the United Empire team winning and sort of picking up where teammates Aussie Open left off. And I was sort of thinking we can't have too many nice things. They're going to make us suffer and put House of Torture in the driver's seat. But we should have realized that when things fall apart, you just go with Old Faithful, and they put the title on Bishamon.
Never count out Bishamon.
Yeah, you can't count out Bishamon. So the match was really fun. Not like a classic. I wouldn't say like you got to go out of your way to watch it or anything like that. But in terms of just like fast-paced, high-octane multi-man matches, this could have been a lot worse. It's pretty good. One thing I loved was Bishamon hit this awesome like reverse. What do you call that? Like, what's the move that the Steiner brothers used to use, where it was like a doomsday device, but with the bulldogs?
The Steiner
Bulldog.
Yeah, whatever that is. They did like a reverse version of that, and I thought that was a new finisher. I was like, oh shit, they won. But they still like did the Shoto before they like actually like closed it. But I was like, damn, they unleashed a super finisher. Like, this is awesome. But the match was cool. Yeah. And Bishamon are champion. So I guess, the tag team division is stable once again.
Yeah. And Tony, I'm definitely curious to hear your thoughts about this match, because there's a lot of like shenanigans that we have to deal with the House of Torture, of ref bumps, people running in, garrote wires, wrenches, interference.
I mean, I didn't really know what was going on for a lot of it. You want me to be honest? Like, I know who most of the guys were, but I was like, wait, which one is with whose partner? Who's the legal guy? It was fun, but it wasn't like a great wrestling match, but I enjoyed it. It is very different than everything else on the show. So like what Josh was saying with variety on the show, it helped with that, because it was just a bunch of dudes hitting moves and fighting each other.
Yeah, it's a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Essentially.
It's just a big mess.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to have a mess, just keep piling it on. Just have run-ins, have weapons, have garbage.
You had Yo running out there with the skateboard.
Oh yeah, like why did Yo come out with a skateboard?
Well, he saw the AEW,
The Chris Statlander thing?
Yeah, the Fight Forever footage of Chris Statlander using the skateboard on Darby in the game.
I think Yo's been listening to this podcast and he's right. These guys are right. I need to do something to get over. This shit worked for Zoe Stark, or not? No, who's the chick that did that in NXT?
Cora Jade.
Jade, right?
It worked for Cora Jade. It worked for Darby Allin. It worked for the dynamic dudes in the 90s. I'm gonna be a skater.
Oh my gosh.
I hope that's really the reason.
Roppongi Pro Skater 2.
Oh, that would be sick. One question, I'm being totally dead ass serious about this when I ask it. Did they have the rules where just 2 guys from a tag team were legal and the other team had to sit out, or did they do it where all 3 guys from a team were legal?
There's 3 guys that were legal.
They did. They did
it be from the same team.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't. I don't.
That's because that's what threw me off at first. It's like, wait, these guys are just 2-on-1 to this one dude, and the other team's just outside.
Well, because like in like Western wrestling, usually it's like only 2 guys are legal, and the other team has to get tagged in magically somehow. But I think they had all 3 teams have 1 legal man.
The rule were there are no rules.
Yeah, it didn't seem like the rules were strictly enforced, Josh.
Everybody was legal.
Barely legal.
Had a few questions on this one. Less commission.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I guess we should talk about the post-match angle first. So after the match, Bishamon, they win the belts, and then the lights go off on the screen. We see Bullet Club War Dogs, and out comes Gabriel Kidd and the android Alex Coughlin in Bullet Club shirts. They run into the ring. They beat up Goto and Yoshihashi and made their intentions clear that they'll be challenging for the IWGP Tag Team Championship. So 2 more members to Bullet Club here, and we're seeing David Finlay's vision for Bullet Club come to life.
Hey, man. I mean, we have been complaining for years now that there was an embarrassment of riches right there in the LA dojo. All these guys who've been working their asses off to get themselves into the kind of shape and to be as good of wrestlers as they have been. And they've gone on some mini excursions. They've worked a couple dates, but it's like, bro, it's been like 3 years. What are you going to do with these guys? And we were starting to get worried, or at least I was, that they didn't have a spot for them and they didn't know what to do with them. And there had been jokes on this podcast and others where we're like, you could just throw a Bullet Club shirt on them. And people are like, oh, but that is what they exactly did. And I guess, like, on the one hand, it is kind of quote unquote lazy, but it's better than not using them whatsoever. And like literally in the span of one evening, the Bullet Club went from looking like a joke to looking like a bunch of fucking studs. The only problem I do have, I don't know why Kevin Knight wasn't considered for the Bullet Club.
Man, you stole Rich's question.
Oh, he asked that question?
Yeah.
Disregard. I don't wait. I'm looking at the thing. I don't see that question.
It's down on Finley's match.
Oh, well, you should have included it here. That's your fault. No, but like, all jokes aside, it is pretty awesome. I mean, Coughlin and Gabe Kidd, in my opinion, are probably the most physically imposing guys from the LA dojo. So the idea of them like teaming up, that sounds sick. Like, and both those guys are like killers. So I don't see any reason that they couldn't just like beat Bishamon right away.
Yeah, we did see those guys team up in the World Tag League this past December, but also they were kind of still in that young lion phase, and also they ate a lot of losses there. But yeah, I mean, like you're saying, kind of a lazy booking, throwing the Bullet Club shirts on them. But again, Bullet Club's always a top faction. This means they're going to be in the mix. Clearly, as we'll see in the next matchup, there's clear direction and storyline intentions for all of these guys. I think that leads into this question from Les Commission 7252. Says a lot of fans might not get it, but it makes sense that half of the LA Dojo are now in Bullet Club, from the likes of Connors, Kidd, and Coughlin. Like you guys have been saying for the past couple of months, these guys have either been booked poorly or been misused. Now Bullet Club has a strong tag division on their side, with the junior side being Connors and Maloney, and the heavyweight side being Kidd and Coughlin. Do you guys think they will now be booked as strong as ever?
It's really hard to say. New Japan is extremely unpredictable now that they're sort of in this rebuilding phase that they're going through this year. So I really don't know. But they're giving them an opportunity to prove themselves, to make sure that it's worth the company's while to keep paying for them to come overseas and work for them. So they need to, as Vince McMahon likes to say, grab the brass ring.
And a lot of us were obviously disappointed with Aussie Open signing with AEW, but that's 2 foreigner spots gone, and you got to think that kind of helped make room to bring in more of their own foreigner talent from the LA Dojo, making room for Gabe Kidd and Alex Coughlin. So,
Aussie who?
I think they're going to get pushed pretty strong. They're also, there's heavy involvement with them now. They have a title match coming up, and like I said, Bullet Club has been a fixture since its inception, and so yeah, I think it's a great future sites for Coughlin and Kidd and Dan Maloney. Then Ginger Ninja 666 says, one of the matches that I surprisingly really liked on this show was the 3-way tag title match, and honestly, one of the reasons I liked it so much was because of the House of Torture. The crowd was so into them being annihilated that it made the others look like world beaters. Do you think the House of Torture shtick is worth it sometimes to get these kind of reactions, or do you think it's not worth it because of all the flat finishes you have to suffer through in order to give the group any kind of credibility? Personally, I'm kind of in the middle. I don't mind having matches now and then that are driven by the crowd's desire to see one side lose, as opposed to putting on the best match possible.
This is a tough question to answer, honestly, and I don't want to delve into the whole psychology and booking patterns of House of Torture because they're not really my favorite team. But, I've always admitted from time to time in a vacuum, their matches do work. It's just you have to live through so much bullshit to have those few moments of enjoyment. It's like, is the juice worth the squeeze? I'm not sure.
Yeah, and Tony, from a psychology standpoint, what do you think about that? Like, kind of having some heels that are always constantly cheating to get the heat, but like you always kind of get a flat finish from them.
It's like Nova, you know?
Shout out, Captain.
So House of Torture was the team that was cheating and having all the run-ins and everything, right?
Yeah.
Correct. And they do this constantly.
Every match.
Like every single match. It's like there's
ref
bump,
low
blow, someone getting hit with a wrench, someone getting hit into exposed turnbuckles. Sometimes they turn the lights out.
They choke with the wire.
They pull the ref out. I mean, we're talking literally everything. All the gaga you could ever imagine.
Every match.
Every single match. And like,
do they just do it all every match, or is
yeah,
pretty much.
Pretty much.
That might be a little much, but you know, you got to have strong heels that just, and strong by like they're strong in the being a heel, not necessarily that doesn't work for me, brother. But like they're strong as a heel tag team.
They keep them strong to a degree. Like they're not booked at the top, but they're booked just strong enough so that once they are in a situation like this where you're like, fuck, I really don't want them to win, then they make them lose and then you're happy about it. But you have to live through like them winning all the rest of their matches.
I mean, I only had to watch them once. This is my first time seeing them. And I didn't really know what was happening. So I could imagine this could get old if I had to see it all the time.
Hey, maybe that's the answer. Maybe you guys should just stop watching House of Torture matches. Cherry pick.
Tony's going to start using wrenches in his match now.
We used tasers and belts in our last match.
That's why that company got shut down.
using real heat of a taser.
Hey, Scott Steiner did it.
After
didn't the taser kill Bill Goldberg forever?
The streak, yeah, Scott Hall,
yeah. They had the big nightstick one.
Yeah, the long, zapped him going up the ladder.
I thought he was gonna kick out. To be honest with you,
He should
really, it really pissed me off. He didn't kick out.
Just
like,
no
are you
sell
serious?
Well, after this match, we had the announcement of the participants in the G1 Climax 33. 32 participants this year. Kazuchika Okada, Tetsuya Naito, Sanada, Will Ospreay, Hiroshi Tanahashi, David Finlay, Shota Umino, Shingo Takagi, Tomohiro Ishii, Tama Tonga, Tanga Loa, Hikuleo, Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, Toru Yano, Kenta, Zack Sabre Jr., Taichi, Eddie Kingston from AEW, El Phantasmo, Ren Narita, Evil, Chase Owens, Jeff Cobb, Great O'Khan, Aaron Henare, Gabriel Kidd, Alex Coughlin, Shane Hayes, Mad Mikey Nichols, Yota Tsuji, and Kaito Kiyomiya from Pro Wrestling Noah. We had a ton of questions here. Let's jump into those. I think that can kind of lead our discussion on these participants. First, from Cookie Sheet Jones at Yambag City on Twitter. Are there too many boys in the G1 this year?
Never enough boys. My only problem is when they bring in the girls.
Oh, boy.
No, I'm just playing. I'm excited.
How many do they normally have?
Traditionally, for the past, better portion, it's been like 20.
20, right?
Yeah, so traditionally...
Like two 10-man blocks.
Yeah, 2 blocks of 10. Last year, they did 28. We had 4 blocks of 7.
It feels like we're probably, and we don't know this, but it seems like we're probably getting 4 8-man blocks this year.
Yeah, that makes the most sense math-wise here in the schedule.
Unless they want to give us 8 4-man
blocks.
That might be different.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. A bigger field, got a lot more guys included here. You got the TMDK team of Hayes and Nichols, got the LA Dojo boys, Kid and Coughlin are in. Kaito Kiyomiya from Noah, first time outsider promotion guys in since like 2016 when Nakajima was in the G1 that year. You got Eddie Kingston from AEW. Tangaloa is back from injury. So a lot of great names in this tournament.
Yeah, we're big fans of Tangaloa. He
Friend of the dojo.
Came to the dojo. He said Tony could work. That was a direct quote, I recall.
Thanks, Josh.
Did he give Tony a GOD shirt?
No.
He did not.
Next question here from Barry Walsh. He says, Kiyomiya, do you think it means Okada might win the N1 this year, only to slap off the trophy and venue and create more heat than his son?
Guys, I don't know. And I really don't care. That's Noah's shit. I'm not going to watch the N1 victory. Come on. It's ridiculous.
He also said, Fantasyland, I know, but I do love Kiyomiya to win I'm pulling for Kiyomiya to win the G1 and Okada to win the N1 instead of a big dome match.
Oh, hell no. You know what? I am just joking, but if they had Kiyomiya win the G1 climax, that would be so fitting for how weird 2023's New Japan booking has been. Because that's not, I would if you gave me a bet and said, if you gave me big odds for him to not win, I would bet everything. I bet my whole entire life savings that he's not going to win the G1. So yeah, I find that highly unlikely, but you never know. I mean, crazy things are happening. I do think they'll end up in the same block. And I do think we'll see Kiyomiya beat Okada to get his revenge. And maybe that will shut up the babies who've been complaining about, I don't get it. What does this do for Kiyomiya? New Japan's mean.
Why don't you just at Zach next time, Josh?
I wasn't calling out Zach directly. Zach is one of many.
I'm just joking. I'm just messing with Zach. I know Zach's, he's a big Noah guy. And
I don't know if Zach's listening, but Zach, if you fit that mold, that's on you, bro. I can't help that.
Def Triangle 720 says, should New Japan just have cut out some of the people and made the G1 around 24?
I mean, they cut out Yujiro.
Yes, and Fale.
We're good. They cut out Yujiro and Fale. What more do you want? We've been asking them to cut these men. They cut them. I'm happy.
I think more participants is better. You get more matchups. And if it was 4 7s last year and it's only one more match.
Yeah, so each guy will have 8 matches this year or 7 matches. 7. Last year, each guy had 6 matches.
But last year's there were some. Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, so one more match out of every guy is not like a huge addition to the workload.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. It kind of frees up their schedule a little bit. It makes it a little bit lighter compared to the 10-man block when each guy had 9 matches.
The issue last year was that there was some, when they had the 4 blocks, they wound up with some really weird scheduling. We didn't wind up with as many high-performing G1 Classic nights as we're used to from that tournament. It was kind of an adjustment period, but I feel like with the 8-man block scenario, that creates a little bit more variability. Plus, there's a lot more new blood and freshness to this tournament that I'm more optimistic about this year's tournament than I was last year.
Yeah, because you had the random scheduling where you had some nights there'd be 4 block matches, and some nights there'd be 5 block matches, 2 B block matches, or 2.
I looked at the schedule and I had a brief discussion with Chris Samsa about this, and it seems like we're probably getting something like that again, but we don't know exactly what that looks like just yet because there's a lot of variables. He was trying to explain it to me, and the amount of scenarios he gave me, I was like, okay, it's too much information. But what I do know is we're probably going to be getting a lot of nights where it's nothing but tournament matches amongst the blocks, which is probably good.
Yeah. Less Commission 7252 says, out of the 32 participants, who are you more interested in seeing no matter who's in their block?
Oh, well, I mean, that's a stupid question. It's always going to be Tomohiro Ishii.
Ishii
Yes.
or Shingo.
Yeah, it's either going to be Will Ospreay, Shingo, or Ishii. I don't care who's in their block. I just want to see him beat him.
Diva Lover 4 says, should we have a year where the G1 is absolutely stacked with top tier talent from multiple companies?
No, fuck the other companies. Shinny
This isn't their tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's too much politics involved when you start getting multiple promotions involved, especially with this being, New Japan's big annual tournament.
Unless they want to send the top talent here so they can lay down and take these L's, then okay.
Okay, 890 says, at what point in the G1 announcement did you realize it was going to be bigger than usual tourney?
I wasn't paying attention until afterwards. When it was all done, I was like, damn, this seemed like a lot. And then all of a sudden, like, Kevin Kelly's like, whoa, 32 men. And I was like, really?
Well, I noticed because on the graphic, it's in Japanese, it said like something 32. I was like, all right, it's going to be 32 men.
I just thought they were saying it was the G1 32. I wasn't paying attention.
It's G1 33.
Exactly. Not paying attention.
Also asked, do you think Kaito will get his revenge in the G1? Could he even be a potential block winner like Bailey was?
I don't know how strongly I feel he should be a block winner or like a finalist, but that might help him quite a bit, considering the quote-unquote damage that's been done, not just by New Japan, but by his own company and Muto and all that shit. So this is a great opportunity. If they're looking at a way to rehab him and all that, this might be a good way to do that.
Yeah, you get him in that Final Four scenario. He could lose there, and I think that elevates him, getting him into that Final Four scenario. You could even have him like beat Okada to get into the Final Four. I think that would be some good storytelling and momentum there for him.
And I mean, to a certain extent, that's what Teton was as well.
Yeah. Mr. Wombat says, I'm just now trying to catch back up with current NJPW. Curious your opinion as to why no Lawler or Rosser in the G1.
Couldn't cut it.
Couldn't cut the mustard.
Not as good as, let's see, Yano.
Yeah, I have no insights. I mean, those guys are going to be on the Independence tour for Cork and Hall next month, but
yeah. Get this, Tony. They're doing an New Japan Independence Day tour, right? And it's like it's for July 4th. It's like to celebrate
America's Independence Day,
right?
Yes.
Like America's Independence Day,
Tokyo,
but it's in Japan.
Is that something that they do? Because
No.
I feel like that's not something that they do.
No, they're doing a tour where they're bringing all the guys from Strong over that were like part of the Strong brand.
Right.
But it's the Independence Day tour, and it's all red, white, and blue themed, but it's in Tokyo.
That confuses me.
It makes no sense.
Then last question here about the G1.
But I will say this: if I was Fred Rosser, right, I would be looking for a weak link in this group, and I would take them fucking out. You know what I mean?
Cause a quote unquote injury.
Figure out something. Tanahashi's not moving around so good these days.
Is he in the G1?
Yeah,
Of course, he's not going
of
to ever
course.
not be in it.
Ace never tired,
Oh, I swear
never
to
gives
God.
up.
When Tanahashi has his final G1, which there will be they're gonna
There has
do,
to be a final one, yeah.
They're gonna do like the final Tanahashi G1. I'm gonna cry every single night, every match.
They should put like him in like an old man block so he could win it. Win that block. Throw like Kojima in there.
Nah, fuck that. He needs to do the Nagata, lose every single night.
But last G1 question here from friend of the show, Dan Coffin. He says, I love Eddie Kingston, and his dream was to compete in the G1, But at this stage of his career, do you think he can make it through a grueling tournament like this without any injuries?
Yes.
I'm not going to say no, but do I think there's a high possibility that he might not be able to? I would say yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know he is. Some people see him as injury prone. He has had a lot of injuries in the last couple of years, but yeah, I think he'll be able to do it.
I think he'll be able to go through. And if he gets injured, I don't think they'll be able to keep him from wrestling.
Yeah, this man's living his dream.
Yeah, Eddie's tough. Like, if he could walk out there and have a match, he's going to go out there and have a match.
I got to say, of all the guys that they could have sent over from AEW, barring, like, say, like a Kenny Omega or like a Danielson, I'm glad he's the guy they sent. Because they're not doing shit with him anyways.
Yeah.
Nah, dude, I don't know the last time he was on TV.
Well, he just returned. He just recovered from a hernia surgery.
Yeah, he had a hernia, but he was working ROH exclusively prior to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch ROH either, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not watching more New Japan Strong. That shit ended.
Couple of questions here I missed. Dark Soldier says, were there anyone more excited to see Mikey Nichols in the G1 than Gino?
Oh yeah, Gino was on commentary. We didn't even mention that.
That's right, yeah, Gino Gambino back on.
Yeah. I think that's what the Onion bit was about. I think the Onion was supposed to turn into Gino, and that's what the whole gimmick was. I'm serious. I'm not mad that Mikey Nichols is in it, but I also wasn't. Let's just say I'm much more excited that Shane Haste is in this.
X Ethan says it appears that both Futuro and Fale won't be in this year's G1. Do you think that either man will be in another one ever again? I hope not.
in the famous words of Bad Luck Fale, fuck him.
And he also asks, are there any wrestlers you were expecting to be within the G1 that aren't in this year's? For me, I thought Tom Waller would return.
Maybe. I mean, I actually hadn't even thought of that. So I could see where you guys are coming from, but this, literally this podcast, the first time I realized he wasn't even in it.
Was he in the last one?
Yeah. He was in last year. He made his debut tournament last year.
Yeah, good tournament too.
Yeah, Lawler's good.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't put him back in there, especially with the whole Independence Day shows happening like a week before G1. He's already in the country. You would think maybe him, maybe JR Kratos, Rosser.
You never know. I mean, there could be legitimate reasons. Maybe like there were scheduling conflicts. You'd never know.
Maybe he's getting signed too.
Yeah, maybe he's signed somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that's possible.
Like the Fed.
Independence Day is his farewell.
Yeah. That's his curtain call.
So moving back on with the rest of the card, sixth match of the evening, we had the never openweight title match. The champion David Finlay succeeds in his second defense against El Phantasmo. Dave Finlay here coming out with his new Bullet Club, Alex Coughlin, Clark Connors, Dan Maloney, Gabriel Kidd, and of course, Bloody Hands Gato. And, I think it was last month I was saying, Finlay needs a moment where he walks out with his Bullet Club, and we got it here.
It is weird, though, because, like, I'm not going to, like, go through and look up who's in the Bullet Club because it's too confusing. There's too many people, but, like, there was nobody from the current day Bullet Club that was there to also like bridge that gap. Like this is just suddenly a whole new team. Like
yeah, well Kenta was in the States beating Nick Wayne, and Ishimori's injured. I think and Chase is injured too. I think his first match back will be G1.
See, I forgot that they were even. So there's Chase Owens, there's David Finlay, Kenta. Ishimori. Is there anyone else that's in it? Technically
Fale's Dylan
and the whole House of Torture.
Yeah, they're supposed to be Bullet Club too. Yeah,
it's fucking weird. Plus, where the fuck was Liebert Lucci?
the Bullet Club Australia.
Yeah, there's no Liebert.
Caveman
no
Ugg.
Bonza. There's no Caveman Ugg. Those two twin guys.
Velocities.
It's not the Velocities. It's the I forget their names. It doesn't matter. But anyways, ELP, we got our first look at what a baby face on his own ELP looked like. He had new music, new gear. I think his gear was kind of like X-Pac inspired. I know he's done that before, but this gear kind of gave me those X-Pac, Sean Waltman vibes as well. And I thought this match was good, but it didn't really capture my attention the way a lot of the other stuff on this show did. Like, it just seemed there was a point where it kind of lulled, and maybe it was due to the length of the show. I don't know. But it did pick up down the tail end, and ultimately it looked like ELP was going to overcome all of the outside interference from the Bullet Club. Ultimately, putting too much attention on those guys opened up an opportunity for Finlay to put him through a table that had been set up earlier in the evening and created the opportunity for him to put his finish on ELP and get the definitive 1-2-3. It wasn't a clean victory, but for a bad guy cheater like David Finlay, it was a pretty, I guess, quote unquote definitive. And this was definitely like a crossroads match where we weren't sure who was going to come out on top. And it seemed now that they've got this new Bullet Club, David Finlay kind of needed that clarity and that strong win here.
Was there a story between Finlay and ELP?
ELP
leading into this match?
Yeah, he was in the Bullet Club.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And David Finlay was brought in and kind of became the new de facto leader when Jay White left. And these two guys had a lot of beef because it was like, who's going to be the leader? Is ELP even going to support David Finlay? They had a lot of butting of heads. And then ultimately, David Finlay was able to consolidate power and get everybody in the group to turn on ELP and kick him out. And and that was pretty much it. So he turned into, and after that, ELP turned into a good guy. And
okay, well, I mean, yeah, the crowd loved him.
Yeah,
I mean, when he was making his sprint at the end of the match, the crowd was going crazy for him. So that was my biggest takeaway. Was I hadn't seen him wrestle in a long time, and I don't remember him getting that sort of reaction.
Well, it helps when you're doing a high flying, cool ass shit.
Yeah, he's a great high flyer.
Yeah. Also helps when your new theme is just constantly repeating your initials over and over and over again.
Yeah, I saw he had the like a Jericho jacket.
Oh, he's had that for a while. Actually, you know what's funny is I think that Prince Devitt started doing that before Jericho.
He did, yeah. Devitt was the first one doing it, yeah.
And Jericho kind of jacked that shit.
But yeah, he had the ELP new music. Kind of reminded me of Rob Van Dam's TNA music, where it just screamed his name over and over again. Rob Van Dam.
I don't think he was doing the whole ELP, and he was trying to get them. But I don't think this first run that the people totally caught on. But they're going to that's gonna be a thing, and that's super smart. Rich, I know you're listening. If you want to get some of these wrestlers over with your theme music, just put some initials in there.
Just repeat their name over and over and over again.
At least they'll remember your name when they leave.
Exactly, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a fun matchup. Also, not the best matchup in the evening. Also, more of a kind of a storytelling thing here, kind of establishing Finlay and his Bullet Club and kind of continuing the story between Finlay and El Phantasmo. And ultimately, due to all the outside distractions, ELP, he tried to take out the rest of the Bullet Club, did a big flip to the outside on both set of guys there. But yeah, it came down to Finlay hitting the Into Oblivion neckbreaker move on ELP, gets the win and retains the title. We have a ton of questions here on this matchup here. First from Reddit user.
Let's go through them quick so we can get to the good shit.
Reddit user Jake. Although I'm still not sold on David Finlay, something just still hasn't clicked for me. I am vibing with the refresh of Bullet Club, young, hungry, and violent. Which begs the question: is House of Torture finally out of Bullet Club? LOL.
We don't know that, but kind of feels that way.
Yeah, I mean, Finlay kind of teased that all these offshoot versions are kind of out. Bullet Club Australia, they're out. Bullet Club Gold, they're out. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's unofficially official that House of Torture is out.
I just hope Dan Maloney, instead of throwing up the crowns, he starts throwing up the Wolfpack symbol. all the time.
Well, they did change up the too sweet a little bit. Instead of going forward, they're doing it like backwards.
That's fucking stupid. Also, afterwards, I hope he gets up in the camera and he goes for life.
Just completely jacket the whole thing.
Yeah.
Worked for the original Bullet Club.
And then I want him to like get on the mic and be like, "Survey says,
hey yo,
hey yo, one more for the good guy, for the bad guys."
Oh man. Next question here. Let's Commission 7252 says my Discord group believes that ELP will join GOD. What do you guys think about that?
Your Discord group is fucking stupid. No, I'm just playing. I don't know. I hadn't thought of that. Is GOD a faction?
They're a sub faction of Hontai.
It is. I am not sure where ELP's. What were you saying?
I thought God was just the tag team of the Tongans.
Kinda, but I think they
expanded
members now.
So now their younger brother Hikuleo is also considered God, and then also Jado is considered God.
Okay.
I would find it difficult to go that way unless like Tamatonga is gonna like kind of descend, And doesn't it seem weird to like make, because I'm pretty sure at this point wherever ELP goes, he's gonna be a main player, and Tamatonga has already kind of established himself as like a upper mid card / main eventer. So how the dynamics there would be really fucking weird. Plus, like God is definitely like their thing. So are they gonna bring in ELP to be like their front man? Like that would feel fucking kind of disingenuous and weird,
ELP could be their Owen Hart.
No. if he's the Owen Hart, does that mean Tamatonga's the Rock?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where ELP lands because it feels like they've got too many, big name white guys in the company right now.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of teased just being Hontai when he attacked Dave Finlay last month at Dontaku. But yeah, I don't know if GOD is quite the right fit for him. But I definitely do think he needs to land in a stable or he's going to get lost in the mix.
Mox has been okay.
Well, Mox that's different.
ELP will be fine.
Next question here from Germanis says, at Dominion, Finlay made a lot of additions to Bullet Club, a lot of young wrestlers. Finlay is older than all four of these wrestlers. Kenta is older. You think Kenta, Ishimori, and or Chase will remain in BC?
Don't know, don't care. I really don't care. I'm here for the youth movement. I don't care what happens to those dudes.
Yeah. Ginger Ninja 666 with Finlay's focus on young violent bruisers. Do you think Ishimori and Kenta have a new place in Bullet Club? I'm kind of curious how those two would fare in House of Torture. To be honest, Kenta already wrestles a pseudo House of Torture style, in my opinion.
Oh boy. You know what's funny about all this is like, and I've said this many times in the show, and I'm not dogging, I appreciate the questions, but like after 10 years of Bullet Club, I don't give a fuck about any of this like inner turmoil. Who's gonna land where are they going? I don't care about it. I am only excited about the new people that they brought in who seem like they're very promising and have like an upside, but like Ishimori, don't give a fuck. Kenta, I don't care. House of Torture, I literally don't care what happens to any of these dudes. But here's the thing. Obviously, a lot of people care about this stuff because we get questions about it every single week. So I must be in the minority. And I think it's amazing this company has never actually pulled the trigger on a Bullet Club Civil War. It seems like if they could just get their ducks in a row, they'd make a lot of money because there's a lot of people that actually give a fuck about this stuff. I'm just not one of them. I just want to see like all these new young dudes beat everybody's asses. But, that's just me.
Tony, any thoughts on Bullet Club?
I mean, I don't know who's in it anymore, so I kind of have to go with Josh. Where
The
it's
Young
like, I
Bucks are
like the
not
guys
in
that
it.
I saw.
The Young Bucks
Yeah,
are
I
not
know
part
that.
of it anymore.
AJ Styles, he's not.
Is Devitt still the leader?
No, Cody's gone. He's not with them anymore.
I mean, I have to agree with Josh. I like the younger guys. I like all the LA Dojo guys being part of Bullet Club.
Yeah,
Gives them something to do, gives them a group and an identity that maybe they didn't have before.
yeah, and it kind of takes Bullet Club back to its roots of, having all these kind of angry young foreigners who, feel like they're misused and underutilized in New Japan and want to make their claim. The original group, of Devitt and Fale and Tama Tonga and Carl Anderson, that was kind of the whole kind of, mission statement for Bullet Club. And so we're kind of getting back to what Bullet Club was originally established on.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't give a fuck about what happens to you, Jiro.
Hawaiian Punch BB says, do you think that Finley is compensating by recruiting some jacked guys when he is not so jacked physique?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a solid move.
That's exactly what I would do.
Dark Soldier says, did Finley eat Goldberg cereal? How has he become so dominant in the end of his matches?
Well, he put the guy through a table is one part of it.
He had 5 people out there distracting his opponent.
Listen, I get what you're saying, but that man's father is Fit Finley, okay? Enough said. I want to wonder how he's so dominant.
Back to what you were alluding earlier from Rich. He says, what is it about Kevin Knight that Dave Finley hasn't recruited him to BC yet? He was in the dojo. Same class. I'm beginning to suspect things.
I'll just say this. Got a lot of young, strong dudes. Not a lot of diversity. At least in the original Bullet Club, they had Fale and Tamatonga. But this one, it's just a bunch of white dudes, bro. They saw all that athleticism in Kevin Knight and said, nah, we'll pass.
They're anti-flips. X Ethan says, the age-old question must be answered again. Do you think we will see a Bullet Club split finally, given Finley has created another side of Bullet Club? If somehow Bullet Club did split, where do you see wrestlers like Ishimori, Kenta, Fale, and Chase aligning, or do you see them being their own side of Bullet Club or even a different faction? Which we kind of
just 9 guys.
The group formerly known as Bullet Club. And then Dan Coffin says, which one of these new BC members will eventually turn on Finley?
He made a joke about Clark Connors being the new leader of Bullet Club, and I hadn't watched the show yet, so I thought he spoiled me, and I was like, I guess they're going with Clark Connors. I don't know.
Let's have it be Carl Fredericks. Oh, wait, he's not here.
Oh, yeah. Eddie Thorpe.
Oh, man. Do you think Carl's kicking himself right now?
No. He's making so much more money.
Oh, man. So let's move on to the next matchup here. 7th match of the evening. And this match was actually supposed to be the semi-main event, but Claudio's plane was delayed, and he was like literally on the way to the building.
Quote unquote delayed. Fucking big time asshole.
So this
At least it's not in the G1, right, Josh?
Oh, you gotta move me up. You gotta move me up on the card. I'm not gonna make it. Oh, I gotta be semi-main event. You gotta pay me semi-main event money. Oh.
He's like, oh, there's a big storm. Claudio, the weather's perfect. No.
I said, where I'm at, there's a big storm.
IWGP Junior Heavyweight Title match. Hiromu Takahashi defeats the Best of Super Junior 30 winner, Master Wato, 19 minutes and 50 seconds.
I said a few weeks ago that I thought if these guys wrestled, Hiromu would win. But if there was any person that had a good shot of beating him coming out of the tournament, it would be Wato. And so I was very unsure about the outcome of this match. And I thought they had a really, really good match here. I don't know if I think it necessarily peaked as high as either of these two guys better matches during Best of the Super Juniors, but I still found this to be very enjoyable, and it reminded me in tone and pace of the four-way from Wrestle Kingdom this past year, where it was like Wato was just chasing, and he got a lot of really great near falls. You know, he got Hiromu in the Vendaval for some very convincing near submissions. Reseda Mente, he hit him with the Everest German. I mean, and that Everest German was like super established during the Super Juniors tournament that like if he hits you with that, you're gonna lose. So it felt very much like Wato was throwing everything at this guy, and he wasn't able to still secure the 1-2-3. But I felt like he looked like he was keeping pace with Hiromu, and he was on his level, which a year ago we would not have been saying that about Master Wato. So that just kind of goes to show you the good that the booking of Super Juniors has done for him, as well as his personal improvements in every facet of the game. Aside from that, Hiromu was just his usual great self. And, you know, I feel like in a lot of these matches, he's kind of just weathering the storm in these title matches. He's weathering the storm from these guys and then hitting them with his big moves and kind of just getting them out of there. And that's what happened here again. And he's got a quest. He's trying to break the all-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team title or, you know, defense record. And I feel like this was the biggest test he's had along that journey. And now that he won this match, I'm pretty convinced no one's beating him. He's gonna defend that thing 12 times and break the record. But Wato looked great. Ultimately, I think the culmination of this is likely that down the line, Wato will be the guy that dethrones Hiromu to finally win the title. That's like going to be his big crowning, you know, achievement essentially.
Wato made a fan out of me with this match. Like I hadn't gone back and seen much of his Super Juniors, but I thought Wato was great. Hiromu, I've, you know, always thought has been great, but Wato I thought was awesome. I loved the pace early where Hiromu was just beating the brakes off of Wato fast, you know, slamming him into the guardrails, drop kicking him, threw him in the ring, just put a hurting on him. And then, you know, all Wato's stuff is great, like the big Germans and the, what does he call his move to the side? The Reseda Mente?
Yeah, Reseda Mente.
Yeah, that move was great. I thought he was going to win, so I was a little shocked when he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people were kind of buying into Wato Mania, and Osaka is Wato's hometown, so they did kind of set it up. You know, he wins the tournament. He's the hometown boy. He's finally, you know, getting this big title match one-on-one with Hiromu. But yeah, I thought he was great in the matchup. Like Josh was saying, definitely a vast improvement from previous years. You know, you think back to when he first debuted in 2020 in an empty arena to where he is now. It's just a kind of a great journey to see. And yeah, like you guys were mentioning, the Germans were great, and especially, you know, he really established that Mount Everest variation throughout the Super Junior tournament. So when he hit that, I definitely bit on that near fall. He won the tournament with the Reseda Mente, so I thought when he hit that was another great near fall. You know, we were questioning, you know, where his tornillos at. Well, he busted out a tornillo to the outside to Hiromu. He did attempt for the RPP, but was not able to get that.
He hit the Tenzan Tombstone driver as well, which was fucking sick. I think that's the real key here. All these years, he's been trying to hit that what's it called, the RPP?
Yeah, the spiral tap. Yeah,
he's been trying to hit the RPP in all these big matches for so many years, and he always misses it. I think that's the key. Is like when they have the big blow off match, he's gonna land that. I don't know if it will be Hiromu who's champion, although that would be the most ideal scenario. But regardless, someday this guy's gonna hit the RPP on whoever the champion is. And it's going to be a big fucking deal. It's probably going to be a Wrestle Kingdom type situation, and he's going to win the big title.
Yeah. And they definitely kind of set this whole story up of Wato continuously saying he's going to be the one to beat Hiromu. And so they could have Hiromu get to 12 defenses, and then in that time, Wato kind of gets better, and he's a guy that finally beats Hiromu.
What defense number was this one?
6?
Yeah, either 5 or 6.
I'll look.
While you're looking, go ahead, Tony.
I was just going to say, I don't remember Watto being anywhere at like on this part of the card last time I was watching a New Japan show. So he must have been, he's moving up quickly.
Yeah, I mean, when he first came in, I mean, he was kind of undercards. I mean, he was working guys like Doki and Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and then he's just kind of been mainly in multi-man tags. He did have a tag team title run with Ryusuke Taguchi last year as the team 6 or 9. So yeah, he's kind of been mid-card, kind of upper mid-card, depending on what side of the show. But yeah, in the last year, it's kind of been a big push for him. Last year, they did a 4-way program with him, Ishimori, Hiromu, and Desperado, which was kind of like the real kind of first big push for him getting into the main event scene.
So this was his 5th successful title defense, and I'd have to look again, but I think the all-time record is when Heat held the title, and I think he had 11 successful defenses. So I think that Hiromu needs 12 to beat that record.
Yeah, and he's going to go in a little bit of probably of a dry spell for July with Super Juniors or with G1 happening. I know they're doing the Junior Festival in August, so maybe he'll get a defense there and then some more defenses during the fall.
I feel like they're going to need to find some other creative ways for him to defend the title in the meantime, whether that's shows in America or maybe even potentially shows in other promotions. I don't know the new, bro. It's so hard to keep up with everything going on with New Japan adjacent stuff, but like I know he's got like a date in Dragon Gate coming up apparently soon.
Yeah, July.
Yeah, he's gonna be on Kobe Festival.
Yeah.
So maybe that could lead to something, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Also, there's Forbidden Door. There's Fantastica Mania in Mexico. There's a couple different spots interpromotionally that he could defend.
It just feels like they need to do that because they don't defend this title frequently enough, and with especially during the G1 it becomes basically dormant the same way all the other titles do.
Yeah, they're defending it more than last year though, it seems.
Right now they are. Yeah, they're making that concerted effort, but to get to that, I mean, unless they're going to really draw this title reign out for even greater than a year, then maybe that's on the table as well. I don't know, but if I was them, I would maybe look at defending it in America, maybe in like All Japan or Noah or something like that,
Yeah. We had a few questions here on this matchup. Okay, 890 says, with Watto coming up short at the 2 biggest junior matches of the year, is he going to get his redemption and be the one to dethrone Hiromu?
I'm hoping so. We'll see.
Could be. That's what it kind of seems like they're kind of laying the groundwork for. Hawaiian Punch BB says, is Watto now known as the waitee to the Grandmaster?
What does that mean?
I think he's just trying to do a play on the name. Now
I think he means like wait to the Grandmaster, like
Wyatt to the Grandmaster.
I don't know. Maybe he just typoed.
No, I think he was trying to just do a play off of Watto and way to the Grandmaster.
I would like to figure out what that even fucking means eventually.
He's on the way to become the Grandmaster.
No, like when, they need to do like a interview with him and be like, "What did you fucking mean when you said you're the way to the Grandmaster?"
Oh, this is something he said in an interview.
What was
that was his nickname when he came into the company.
It's still his nickname.
Yeah, Master Watto, the way to the Grandmaster. Like,
Okay.
what?
It's a state of mind.
Yeah, I guess.
Then Dark Soldier says, do you feel Hiromu so far is the best champion in New Japan this year? All his matches have ranged from good to great, and all his opponents look like they have a chance of winning. That might have to do with it being the junior belt, and they've been more willing to ping pong titles around since 2020, but the point still stands. What say you?
It's a tough call. He probably is the best champion in the company this year. It's a toss up between him and Zack Sabre Jr., but I think he's had more big. I mean, Zack's working 15-minute matches. Hiromu's working semi and main events, so there's kind of the difference there.
Yeah, and plus Zack's doing more outside stuff, ton of ROH, AEW defenses also. So moving on now to the semi-main event of the evening, we had the never open weight 6-man tag team titles on the line. the champions, Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, and the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, they defeated the members of the Blackpool Combat Club of Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley and Shota Umino.
Yeah, this match fucking ruled. It was definitely like part 2 of the match that we got in America just a few weeks ago, where Claudio wasn't in it, and instead we had Wheeler Yuta. This was basically, in a lot of ways, just a continuation of that match. And there was a lot of really cool callback spots between the two matches. The crowd was really like feeling it, really into everything. And that's one of the other cool things when you have these big shows and you bring in the outsiders, the guys that aren't around that often, but you use them in the right ways. That's what they did here with, Jon Moxley. This is the first time he's been back in Japan since pre-pandemic, and then Claudio has never worked for the company. So that was really cool. And I thought that Shota Umino looked really, comfortable. He's just coming more and more into his own and improving night after night. The heat between him and Okada was really apparent all throughout the match, and Okada's just being a dick and, just being this grumpy old man who just beats everybody's ass is fucking awesome. And seeing him and Jon Moxley mix it up, seeing him and Claudio mix it up is really, really cool. I don't think, for me personally, I saw, like, for a lot of the Western audience, I think this was what many people considered the match of the night. And I could definitely see why. Plus, I think there's a lot of Western appeal considering who was in it. For me, and I'll just tell you right now, I liked the main event best for the evening. But this was a really incredible 6-man tag, really, really wild, all over the place, lots of brawling, just super heat, and it's building up to Forbidden Door and everything that's kind of following that. So yeah, this rocked.
I love pissed off Okada, where he was just beating up Shota Umino. I thought that was great. And then the headbutt Ishii got on Moxley was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He busted him open.
I wasn't sure if that was hard way or if he just bladed, because he always blades. So it really don't
seemed too
know.
quick for a blade.
I don't know, man, but he got him with that headbutt. I think he just split him open.
And it's probably a receipt from their G1 match a few years back.
I've been waiting for this.
Actually, you know what it probably was? Moxley's just that dude. He was probably in the back. He's like, when you headbutt me, you fucking really headbutt me.
I mean, that's what I thought. I was like, he probably just asked for it, or it's understood at that point.
You lay that shit in.
Moxley had just had that match at the AEW show, so like his skin may have still been a little soft, and that headbutt just split him both open.
Yeah.
But I thought
when you
it
say
was
that
great.
match, you mean every match that he's in?
Yes. Every time he wrestles. I thought the New Japan team looked great together. They had a lot of good timing, a lot of good flow. I hadn't seen those 3 guys together in a 6-man before.
Yeah, there was a story leading into it where like Ishii didn't want to team with Tanahashi because he's not technically Chaos. They kind of always warred against him. But like begrudgingly, they all came together. Now it's like a super team because you've got like these 3 legends that you never thought would be together. They're like finally together. And it's like the never 6-man tag team titles went from being like literally a few months ago a joke title to like now it's semi-main eventing, the second biggest show of the year.
I mean, you got Tanahashi, Okada, Ishii, Moxley, and Claudio all in the match.
Yeah, and Umino's like probably earmarked. He's probably going to be an ace of the company in the future. Like that's how much like faith they got in that guy too. So,
Tony, did you ever work Moxley when you did any of the dark tapings?
I did not. Febu did.
Yeah, I think I remember that one. Yeah,
He got choked out.
He literally choked out Fabs for real.
Yes,
unless Fabs is lying to me.
No, he did for real. Like that's his claim. He goes, "I was never beat. Moxley never beat me." He choked me out, and the referee stopped it.
Well, every match I've ever had was, basically, those weren't real. Those were
scrimmages, exhibitions.
They were exhibition matches, so I'm undefeated.
Correct.
They were not sanctioned.
They were sanctioned by Matt Sydal, and what kind of sanctioning is that?
Yeah, but this match was absolutely awesome. I'm going to full 5 on it.
Holy crap.
Yeah, dude, I love this thing, dude. The heat was great. Okada and Shota, man, every time they're out there, just the intensity between them is just great. And, we're getting that Kiyomiya Okada energy where Okada's just, pissed off prick and he's just slapping Umino and kicking him in the face. All that was great. Moxley and Ishii, all their interactions were great against each other. First time seeing Claudio in New Japan was great. It's a big swing on Okada, also killing it with his strength game. He did this awesome tilt-a-world on Tanahashi. That was great. Just everything with this matchup, I just felt like the energy, the crowd was super into it. You got color with Moxley. Okada and Umino brawling on the outside. They did the spot again where Umino throws a table at Okada, sets it back up nicely after he's done. Like,
hit him right in the head. Bow again.
Yeah, like there was just so much great about this match. I mean, we could run down all the moves, but like there's just everything in this I thought was just great, super clean.
When Okada was in the big swing, like there were so many times where his head came really close to the ropes. I was like, it was like, good on Claudio being able to control that shit because he was, veering a little close to those ropes, but that was pretty wild too. Yeah, the match was great, and it's setting up one of the biggest matches possible between these two companies, which is equally or even more exciting. So
yeah, post match, Moxley he gets the mic. He couldn't get the mic to work at first. He didn't turn it on, but he got it turned on, and then he's like, you guys say you're the best wrestlers in the world. I don't believe that because we train with the best wrestler in the world, and he has a message for you. And we get to the Titantron, and we see Danielson walking, doing his hikes in the mountains and talking about being in the desert, and it doesn't rain in the desert, and that's where he's going to take Okada.
Oh, shit. I didn't catch that. That's funny.
He's like, yeah, you're the rainmaker. Well, I'm in the desert. It doesn't rain in the desert. So Bryan Danielson challenging Kazuchika Okada. So it looks like, we're going to get the American Dragon versus the Rainmaker at Forbidden Door 2.
Wow.
Yeah, one heck of a dream match there. Which brings us to some questions here. So OK890 says, who is more likely to lose at Forbidden Door, Okada or Ospreay?
I hadn't thought of that, and I'm not ready to answer that question just yet. I'm gonna have to pass. Unfortunately, it's a great question, but I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I feel like both of those guys should win.
Yeah, I do. I think so too, but that does not seem likely, right? If I was just going politically and I'm just thinking, and you know what? This is a great question.
Yeah, I mean, if you think...
It's probably more likely that Ospreay is going to lose than Okada is going to lose.
Yeah, I would say probably there's better chances for Okada, but at the end of the day, I think both guys should win their matches.
They could both lose.
I don't think Okada's going to lose.
I feel like Danielson's like dying to like lose to
Put
Okada.
over.
Yeah,
I think he like wants to put Okada over.
I want to get hit with the Rainmaker, please. Next question here, Wine Punch BV. How stoked are you that now the Never 6-man titles are back at the top titles in the promotion?
It's good.
Yeah, it's fun. I like it.
I mean, if it's this team,
yeah,
be a lot of good matches.
Yeah,
it's not surprising that the two greatest teams in the history of this title both involve Tomohiro Ishii. Go figure.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
What's the other team you're talking about?
Him and Bishamon had like literally like a legendary title reign with these titles.
Yeah, they saved like New Japan during the pandemic with like all their 6-man defenses.
The fact that they didn't win Tag Team of the Year that year was bullshit.
Dr. Larry the Dark says, do you guys want Blackpool Combat Club just to become a new New Japan stable?
I'd probably be more into them in New Japan than I am in AEW right now, honestly.
Yeah, there's just something about Jon Moxley that comes off just a little bit differently when he's in New Japan versus AEW.
He's better in New Japan than he is in AEW. He just is.
Yeah, I don't know. I dig it. MJSPR says, without fantasy booking, what titles are you expecting to see defended at Forbidden Door 2?
All of them.
Yeah, Night of Champions. Every match is a title match.
16 match card.
I don't know. I don't want to get into the weeds, but I kind of get the feeling that neither world title is getting defended.
That's a possibility, considering MJF, who doesn't want to wrestle any New Japan guy in kayfabe, and then Sonata's a guy where fans don't really have a ton of people that want to see him face from the AEW side.
And the
when is Forbidden Door?
June 25th. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they don't have anything like lined up for either of the titles then.
Well, they got time, they could whip something together, but it's like there's so much politics involved. It might just be safer for them to just have Kenny and Will be the main event and just have that title be the main focus.
Yeah, I mean, they are in Canada, so main eventing with Kenny makes the most sense to me.
I mean, and here's the thing. I think MJF is great. I think Sonata is great. Is that there's not a single match possible. There's literally not a single match possible that you could arrange for either guy that's going to be able to compete with Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson versus Kazuchika Okada. Like, it's not happening, bro. I don't care if you bring back like Kota Ibushi. It's not happening.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Bret Hart could come back in his prime and,
steps out the time machine and just
Luthez couldn't save this shit. I don't know.
Bruno Sammartino
is not walking through that door.
Pedro Morales.
Bro, listen to me. If you bring in Kenta Kobashi and Kurt Angle and put them in matches with those two men, they're not going to be able to compete with the matches we're about to get from these other four guys. It's done. Don't have the titles defended. Trust me. You're asking for trouble.
Oh, man. All right, let's go to the main event here. Speaking of Sonata, he defended the IWGP World Heavyweight title against Yota Tsuji, and he defeated Tsuji 17 minutes and 1 second.
My match of the night, I loved this match. I really, really, really enjoyed this match. And it was such a great change of pace from the traditional house style of New Japan's big main events that's always going over 30 minutes. This match went just over 17 minutes and barely by like a second. And, we had Sonata coming out here. Sonata looks like $1 million. He's surrounded by just 5 guys. And then there's that dichotomy where like, he started off this year a member of LIJ. He left LIJ, found his fortune, became a top player, became the champion, and then Tsuji shows up, and like we haven't seen Tsuji in this company at all since he left. Like, yeah, he's been doing other things. He's been in Rev Pro, he's been in CMLL, but we haven't even seen him wrestle any matches. The only match that we saw him actually, I scratched that. He worked 2 nights last year during the Royal Quest tour when New Japan was in England.
Mm-hmm.
And he had that one singles match with Ishii, which was fucking awesome. But like realistically in the kayfabe, we have not seen this guy whatsoever. And he hasn't worked a proper match for New Japan in years. And there were a lot of unanswered questions. He came out. He's a full-fledged member of LIJ. One thing that I thought was incredible was how the match started and like Tsuji just stands there and he throws up the fucking fist and he's got that shit eating grin.
Mm-hmm.
And all of LIJ is like looking really confused. They're like, do we want to fist bump this dude? And like it felt like he was saying, I'm the man now in this group.
I'm the leader.
Like, I'm the leader.
I'm
and
the captain now.
Yeah, look at me. And then like Naito's like, all right, I'll do it for one night. But yeah, to me that meant he's the new leader. So all hail Tsuji. But Tsuji looked like $1 million. He's got the tassels. He's got Jay White inspired gear. And this was another match that was just go, go, go. Like they definitely had a lot of like psychology and stuff, but like this man went for a spear right out the gate. Both guys were going for their finishers. And I feel like the match was designed to get Tsuji over more so than anything else because he took probably 75% of the match. I thought Sonata looked very motivated and was on top of his game. The crowd was into both guys, but I think Tsuji was probably getting the bigger reactions. The thing I noticed, I mean, there's two things that really stood out though. In probably the last 15 years, of all the guys from every class that have come back from excursion, only two people have ever been put in a similar situation to Tsuji. And that would be like Okada when he first fought Tanahashi for the title and beat him. And Hiromu when he came back and he beat Kushida for the title. Other than that, if you go down the laundry list of young lions returning from excursion, and there's a lot of them, some really big names, nobody's been put into a position to headline a major main event against a world champion the way they did with Tsuji. I think that they know what they have with this guy because he looked like $1 million. If you think about some of the other people that have been in this company that have been given big spots, like Great Okan, Jay White, Shota Umino, Ren Narita, the list goes on and on. All of those guys have had hiccups and have had bumps, and like you can see that there's promise there, but they don't look like the finished product. I'm not saying Tsuji's the finished product, but he did not for 1 second look like a guy that felt out of place. He looked like he was 100% confident about who the fuck he was and where he thinks he is in the pecking order of New Japan. I'm all in on Yota Tsuji.
Yes.
This is my guy, bro. Like, I think he's the best of his entire class right now, including Yuya Uemura. Like, you can come get these hands, bro. Like, I can't think of anybody in this company that I don't want to see Yota Tsuji run it with and beat. And that includes the Ace, and that includes Okada, and that includes Shingo. All of them. Like, this was awesome. And the match was really great, really high, fast-paced, high octane, a lot of really great classic near falls. And Sonata was kind of working from underneath and kicking out of everything. But ultimately, he's comfortable here. He's been to this stage, and he had more experience than Tsuji did, and he was able to weather the storm, get Tsuji into the skull end. He hit the
Shining Wizard and then the deadfall.
And got him out of there. 1, 2, 3. And that was a little anticlimactic finish, but it was believable. And I think that they've got another great match between them down the line. And I love this. I'm like 4.5 plus. I loved it.
This is the first time I've ever seen Tsuji. Like, I know Josh said he was in England and Mexico. I didn't see any of those matches. I thought he was awesome. Star. He's a superstar already. I loved where he just speared him right out of the leapfrog early in the match.
Yeah,
that was awesome, and that set the tone for the rest of the match, where Tsuji was up for, like, I'd say all the way until the finish almost.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love this match. This man Tsuji came out here dressed like a Young Bucks. Loved that. Came out here.
Huge. He's huge.
Yes.
Though.
Huge Young Buck. He came out here, did a Fosbury flop in the beginning of the match. I was sold then. I was like, change the finish, strap this man up out here with this size, doing flips. Yes, let's go. This man Tsuji, it was incredible in this match. Yeah, the spear from the beginning was awesome. And honestly, I think the spear ended up being his weakness there. He went for it several times.
He got drop kicked.
Oh, yeah. It's not a drop kicked him from the spear.
Yeah, some of those counters that Sonata had worked out for Tsuji's spear were really awesome.
Yeah.
Some of the counters that Tsuji had for the big maneuvers from Sonata were like, actually, it reminded me a lot of the training that we do, like inside, like it's total Lucha Rezu stuff. Like, he went for the deadfall that one time, and he did a cartwheel out of the deadfall. I was like, no way. Like, I didn't message him, but I was like, Matt needs to see this match. There's a lot of really cool stuff in that match.
Yeah, there's a lot of great counters and just like such an unknown because like you said, we haven't really seen like what is Tsuji's arsenal. Like we don't know what his finish is, we don't know what his signature, his comeback. We don't know anything. All we knew was the spear because at the end of the last show he speared Sonata, which was awesome. So that was the only thing we knew about him, that he does a great spear. But then he unleashed all his great moves and it was awesome.
Yeah, bro, future world champion.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
He's the man. I mean, I like him so much that I feel like that means he's going to be like 4th in the pecking order when it's all said and done. But this was awesome, and I thought Sonata was great too. And Sonata's getting a. You know what's funny? Sonata does get a lot of hate from people, but like, I think that this is one of those things with Sonata, and this is me personally speaking, where a lot of Western fans they think of Sonata right now the way they think of Watto winning the Best of the Super Juniors. I think when people are like, Watto won the Super Juniors, they're like, Sonata, is the world champion. That's boring. I think you're telling on yourself that you're not dialed into this product and you're behind the 8 ball and you don't know what the fuck is actually going on. And you know what? It's fine too, because New Japan's like the number 3 company out there right now. You know what I mean? So it is hard for everybody to be dialed in on everything, but there's a lot of like quote unquote experts that they just don't know what's actually happening in this company, and things are on the up, like going up, and they're missing it. They're like totally missing it.
Yeah, it's very interesting reading and listening to reviews from the bigger sites and just some of the key stuff that they're missing, and some of the story elements that they're missing when they're reviewing New Japan now.
It's because they're diving in only on the big shows, and they don't know what's actually going on, and they're telling on themselves without actually, realizing it, because they think these old narratives are still playing out, and it's not. Like, I get it. We've been critical of Sonata for years. This is not the same guy, man. Like, he's just not. And you look at the reign he's having, the match with Okada, the match with Hiromu, and now the match with Tsuji. All 3 totally different kinds of wrestlers, all on a wide spectrum of experience and skill set and styles. And we're talking about 3 4.5-star matches, pretty much universally recognized across the board. That's not a boring wrestler. And I get it. I understand there's some people are like, well, look at who he's in the ring with. Well, we'll see. He was in there with a young boy. And they just had like this was a match that everyone was shitting on, bro. People were shitting on this match. They're like, there was no build.
This match was awesome.
This match was so awesome. And people were upset because Tsuji was coming off of an excursion with no matches leading into it. And, and then, it's Sonata. Well, they had probably one of the most compelling Dominion matches in years. We've had a lot of bad Dominion main events over the past few years. And like, this has probably been, am I out of line saying, now I'm not saying it's on the same level, but this might be the best Dominion main event since Okada Omega.
Yeah. I mean, you look back a year. I mean, we had Okada, Jay White in the main event, and that felt flat compared to this match. This is just a whole different energy. I mean, if anybody did not like this matchup, just listen to the crowd reaction. This man, Yota Tsuji, was super over in Osaka. Over 7,000 people chanting his name. They've never seen him wrestle in his new form. This guy was an instant star night 1.
Yeah. And another thing too is like, we are not part of that conglomerate of fans that are going to try and convince you that Sonata's already we say he's a star, but when we say he's a star, we mean like the potential is there. We're not going to sit here and say he's so quote unquote over, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's on his way, man.
Yeah.
I don't think that the shows preceding this give you the evidence that he's some sort of quote unquote megastar. I don't think that's happened yet. But look at the houses they've drawn in these big events with him on top. Business is not going down. If business was going down, they would have took the title off of him. I said from day one that there was no way on God's green earth they send him into the G1 as champion. And look what's happening. I was totally wrong. Clearly, someone in the company has got faith in this guy. Something's happening here. It might not be what everyone was like, what the Puro elitists and the like Shinihan freaks were trying to claim, saying that he was already made and he was already a star, and he was getting these monster reactions. That was not happening. But I have noticed defense after defense, the matches are getting better. He's getting more confident, and the crowds are reacting in kind. And now the next real test is he's going into the G1 as champion. It feels like he might go to Wrestle Kingdom as champion now.
Yeah, I'm kind of early fancy booking. I'm thinking Naito Sonata, the main event of the Dome.
Yeah, that might happen. So this match was awesome. And if they had put the title on Tsuji, I wouldn't have blamed him. I love this guy.
No, he was over, and that was awesome. The whole match was great.
We got some questions here on this match. First, Rambone Slam Pigs, his thoughts on Tsuji's performance in a Big Show main event so soon after coming back from excursion. I thought he held up his end well, and the moment didn't seem too big for him.
The best post-excursion performance since Okada in 2013.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a ton of young lions come back since then. Okan, Narita, Umino, Hiromu, Jay White. A lot of guys have come back since we've been doing this show, but yeah, none of them.
Evil.
Yeah, Evil.
Yoshihashi.
Yeah, I think Tsuji's definitely up there. Let's see here. Next question from OK890. How do you feel about Sonata's short main events compared to the usual New Japan mains? Is it refreshing or lackluster?
Refreshing. Get to it. Not every match has to be an epic.
Right. We don't need the 30, 45-minute, hour-long title matches every single time, because if you do that every time, then they're not special anymore.
Has this been his normal, like 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes?
I think they have been a little shorter with Sonata, yeah. But, over the New Japan is known for having these long, classic matches. They don't normally go 17 minutes in the main event.
Yeah, I mean, there's some other matches on this card that were longer than the main. But yeah, I'm liking the pacing and the length.
I mean, if they're this quality, I don't see any reason to change it. This match was great, and I thought Sonata was great the whole time.
So other question here is, would you keep Tsuji in the main event scene?
I mean, yeah, I would, but I don't know if that's the plans that they have for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll see now, well, I guess it's kind of in question, I guess, if he's still in LIJ, because post-match, they left him there by himself. But with him being in LIJ, I mean, obviously he's in one of the top factions, and he has to surpass Shingo and Naito as a top heavyweight. So I think he'll probably have some big matches, but I'm not sure if he'll be, obviously challenging for titles every month.
Yeah, it kind of probably feels like when like for instance, when Sonata first came in, he got big wins in the G1 over like Tanahashi, people like that. And it was like, oh shit, he might be a main eventer. And then he wasn't. if we're going to go by Gato's booking, this was probably like, here's your test. Now let's scale back and let's get you plugged into a tag team, or let's get you plugged into like KOPW or the US title, something like that. Like they're probably going to move him to the mid card, honestly.
Yeah, kind of build him back up.
Yeah.
MJSPR says, now that Narita, Shooter, and Tsuji are back, whose work do you like the best, and do you think all three will be IWGP World Champions in their careers?
I think so. But, you never know. And then obviously Yumura's still sitting out there in the wings, and he's incredibly talented as well. But they got four pillars, four real pillars.
Tony, have you seen much of Narita and Umino?
No, I haven't. This was the first time I've ever seen Umino wrestle this show. I know of Narita, but I couldn't tell you.
Have you ever seen Shibata wrestle?
Yeah, I know he's like little.
That's all.
Shibata,
That's all you
right?
need to know.
Yeah, I mean, all three of those guys are great. Like you mentioned too, yeah, Yumura still out on excursion too, and yeah, in the video package for the 6-man match, they had the whole like new generation versus current generation. Well, yeah, they're really building up this new generation, and I do think like all those guys are going to be like our new set of main eventers. We're going to get several domes with like Umino versus Suji and Umino versus Narita and Narita versus Suji. Like there's going to be a ton of great stuff coming from those guys.
Bro, it feels like 2013 in New Japan right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. People talking shit, saying this company was dead.
Dr. Larry the Dark says, new wave of main eventers, Sonata and Finley have really jumpstarted the new main event style. How do you guys feel about the sprint style main events without the feeling out periods? Personally, it reminds me of Choshu and Tenryu getting right to the point. Like, to me, it's really fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that, Choshu is really known for, and Tenryu to another extent, where like he really revolutionized the working style of New Japan, where like they said he worked in this speed burst style where the matches went short, very high octane and high impact, and they could end on a win. And I like that, but I also don't think that every match needs to be that way. Me personally, my idea of pro wrestling is that I probably align closer to like, I don't know if you've ever heard John Moxley talk about his philosophy behind pro wrestling, but he's like, there's no reason it should be just one thing. It could be whatever the fuck you want it to be. There's many different ways to work a wrestling match. Just like when you're watching real fighting, a fight can go 5 rounds and be epic, or it could end in a snap, and anything in between. I like that. I like when there's unpredictability. As long as, like what Tony said, as long as the quality is high, I really don't care how long or short the match goes, realistically.
Yeah, Tony, as a wrestler, do you kind of have a preference when you're going out to shows where if a booker's like, I want you to wrestle a long match or a kind of a sprint style? Do you kind of have a preference or any kind of thoughts on that difference of psychology?
He wants to get his shit in.
45 minutes, get all my shit in. No, I mean, it's dependent on the day, the opponents. We're working a lot of tags right now, so it's like, what are these guys? How are they? Like, what style are they? Are they bigger than us? Are they the same size? Is one bigger? Is one smaller? Are they less experienced? Are they more experienced? What weak point are we going to try to expose of theirs? Yeah. Are we going to follow the rules or are we going to not follow the rules? Because we just make it up as we go. A lot of times, are we going to cheat today? Maybe we will. Maybe we need to cheat. So like I feel like are trained in both. We can go out and do a 3-minute sprint, or we can have I think the longest match I've had was a 45-minute tag match with an old man. So like we can do whatever's needed, but it's different every day. It's different every match.
In terms of
never have the same match twice.
As like a fan, your enjoyment of wrestling, I mean, what you prefer in like a main event?
I like both because I've enjoyed the classic style of the slow build, long main event.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like the matches that are 10-minute sprints, like the Archer Osprey match.
Yeah.
I know that's not a main event. That wasn't a main event match,
like
but so I mean, I like both, and I really like how when you put it, if it's unpredictable and it's not what I thought they were going to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
So like, I really got into this match when he speared him out of the leapfrog. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. We're going into something. We're not going to follow what I thought we were doing, which was the normal 33 minutes classic style for a main event. When he speared him out of that leapfrog, I was like, okay, we're cooking a little faster here.
Yeah, no headlocks, no, arm ringers, no feeling out pace, none of that. Like straight to the big moves.
Well, then,
yeah, and there's nothing wrong with either way. Like it's just who who are the two people in the ring?
Right. And what's the story? What are you trying to get over? I mean, that's the cool thing is like these guys are probably going to lock it up again someday, maybe even in the G1 this year. We don't know. And maybe the match is different the next time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
It should be different.
Tsuji tried to sprint him. It didn't work. Maybe he tries to ground him the next time. It's hard to tell, you know?
Yeah. Let's see. Dr. Larry Dark also says Tsuji, Umino, Narita, Coughlin, Kid. The new blood is here, and I think Yota stood out the most. Hell, if New Japan scoops up SB Kento, and if they convince Kaito to jump, they could be set for the next 20 years. Who are you guys thinking makes the biggest statement in G1? And do you think Eddie Kingston, coming off hernia surgery, survives the tour?
It's a lot of questions rolled into one. Yes. New Japan has an embarrassment of talent, which is really a testament to the one thing that they're doing right that their bigger competitors in AEW and WWE fucking suck at, which is they don't know how to create talent from the ground up. They only know how to sign guys from the outside that may or may not pan out. And they're good at that, but they don't have homegrown talent. That's what New Japan has. They didn't, during that whole bidding war, they could have signed, hypothetically, a lot of people, but they didn't. And instead, they trained these guys and they invested. And now they've got like 8 or 9 different people waiting in the ring. I always say rings, waiting in the wings. And that's exciting. So it's very, very good. And yeah, I think we all have the best wishes for Eddie Kingston, and hopefully he has a great tournament. He's fully healthy.
Yeah. And last question here, Rainbow and Slab Pig says, Tsuji, Narita, and Umino all seem to be slotted for prominent roles going forward. The LA Dojo guys now also are in the picture. Any thoughts on the overall talent level and the strength of that generation of young lions relative to other generations?
You know, we're kind of combining multiple generations of guys into one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we're just talking about everyone that's hitting at the same time right now, so you got Tsuji, you got Narita, you got Umino, you got Yamura waiting in the wings. Then you've got Kid, Kevin Knight, Coughlin, Clark Connors. Am I missing anybody?
DKC.
I'm not going to include DKC, not because he doesn't have that talent or that he's just not involved in New Japan proper just yet, but he's probably also waiting in the wings. And if you count him, you're looking at 9 guys, but realistically right now we have a guaranteed 8 individuals that are just, they're all incredible. I can't sit here and tell you this is the greatest quote unquote class they've ever had, because you go back and you look at the generations when like the Three Musketeers and like, Jushin Thunder Liger came in. That's like those 4 guys alone. And then you also look at like the generations when like Tanahashi and Nakamura and Shibata came in and a few others, Goto. But I can't remember any time they ever had 8 dudes like this, all killers, all studs, all young, hungry, waiting to just fuck shit up. Like I've never seen this from this company. So it's pretty promising. And then when you consider that like Eddie Thorpe came out of that class too, and then DKC, it's very, very like talent rich. Plus Oleg Bolton's like right around the corner.
Oh yeah. and Oscar Lube and
yeah.
Yuto Nakashima.
Yeah.
Oiwa
and
Fujita.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But like Oleg Bolton, number 4 like ranked wrestler in the world, is about to like be it's about to be unleashed. We forgot to mention he got hit by Archer and he like basically he like sold it but not really. He took it, he's like, oh. Everyone else was bumping off of that. And he just kind of leaned over the guardrail slightly.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what we've been saying for a while now on this show is kind of coming to fruition. We've been saying like New Japan has all these pipelines. They have the LA Dojo, there's a Noge Dojo, got the Fale Dojo. we have all these, international talents that they're kind of cultivating and developing on their own. Like when they're all ready, it's going to be great. And, also we had to wait a little bit, but now it's finally happening. These guys are all coming back from excursion. Finally the LA Dojo boys are being plugged in. Like you mentioned, Yuya Uemura, he's going to be coming back soon. And then we're going to send off, Oleg and Oscar and Vegeta and Nakashima. And when they come back, they're going to be great too. It's like the pipeline's incredible. And now with the whole new Japan Academy system, and also there's just still the Fale Dojo, like you're still like this kind of endless pipeline of talent.
The Fale Dojo has a lot of really promising guys. But the three biggest, Villalobos, Michael Richards, and Richard Mulu, they don't need all of them to hit. If just one of those guys hits, and you combine that with everyone else that they've got, like what are we talking about? That's so much talent. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Bro, like, and I'm not trying to be, I know we've mentioned WWE this episode more than we normally do, but like, have they ever had 10 guys come out of their program ever that were on this level? And I'm talking about combined cumulative from all times. Like, I don't think they ever have.
No.
There's like less than 5 true stars that have ever come out of their performance center, homegrown.
Yeah, I think the closest thing that they might even have to this was like that OVW class that was Shelton Benjamin, Batista, Cena, Orton.
That's the closest thing, and you can't
Also, Lesnar was in that.
Oh yeah, Lesnar, yeah,
and Lesnar, but like they don't really get the actual credit for that because that wasn't them.
That was just some guy they were paying.
Wasn't that Les Thornton doing the training?
No, that was Danny Davis and Cornette.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone else was doing the training with them. I forget, but it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, like that's the most talent rich group. But like that was, that's like also like, The Rock, training in Memphis. Like that doesn't count.
Yeah. Besides that, yeah, I mean,
but when you look at their actual dojo, their performance center, who has come out of there that could touch these guys?
That like wasn't already over on the Indies. Nobody I can think of.
Nobody, bro. Like nobody.
Yeah.
Maybe Rusev. They don't have very many guys. Like that is one of the most wasteful. They are not good at developing talent over there. Like legit.
Yeah, it's pretty
they've
bad.
never produced anybody. Like I don't know, maybe Strowman.
I guess.
Like that's it.
Yeah.
Roman, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe Roman Reigns.
Oh man.
It's not like his dad was a Hall of Famer or anything. His whole family is, whatever. But that is pretty much that's gonna do it for the questions. Any final thoughts on the show you guys have?
I liked it overall. The whole show. It was kind of long. When I saw it first at 4.5 hours, I was like, "Oh, geez." but it kind of went through pretty quick. It wasn't. I couldn't think of any matches that really felt like they slowed down, except for the two in the middle. The House of Torture and the Finley match was kind of slower, but
right.
The rest of the show was good.
I pretty much concur. I thought everything was good to great, and the other, aside from the quality of the matches and the great production value, I think just all the talking points, all the different returns and angles, like we don't get a lot of that in New Japan. So when it's all kind of boiled down to one show, it's really newsworthy. So it's pretty exciting, and I thought that elevated the show quite a bit.
Yeah, it was an awesome show. Dominion traditionally the number 2 show for New Japan, but it hasn't always been that way, kind of booking wise, the last couple of years, and just due to pandemic and just kind of due to some of the booking patterns. But I thought this show was really great, and it could compete for show of the year against Wrestle Kingdom.
So we have 2 shows coming up this week. I think I'm just going to run through the cards. We're not going to do like full preview or predictions necessarily, but this coming week on June 9th, the All Together Again card, the joint production between New Japan, All Japan, and Noah is taking place. On this show, in the pre-show, we have Ryosuke Taguchi, Yo, Black Menzo Ray, and Ryo Inoue versus Atsushi Kotege, Seki Yoshiaka, Alejandro, and Super Crazy. And then on the proper card, we have Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi versus Masa Kitamiya, Daiki Inaba, and Yoshiki Inamura. Next, we have Kosei Fujita and Zack Sabre Jr. versus Chris Ridgway and Sean Legacy. Shota Umino versus Yoshitatsu follows that. Next match, we have Hakoto Amore and Shuji Ishikawa versus Go Shiozaki and Katsuhiko Nakajima. Next match on the card, Ren Narita, El Desperado, and Minoru Suzuki, the team of Strong Style versus Nomichi Marufuji, Takahashi Segura, and Junta Miyawaki. Following match, we have Francesco Akira, TJP, Aaron Hinari, Great Khan, and Jeff Cobb of the United Empire taking on Jun Saito, Rei Saito, Ryuki Honda, Hikaru Sato, and Dan Tamura. Following that, LIG team of Naito, Shingo, and Bushi take on the All Japan Triple Crown champion Yuji Nagata, Suwama, and Yuma Anzai. Following that, Sanada, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Taka Michinoku of Just Five Guys take on Jake Lee, Yohei, and Tadasuke of Good Looking Guys. And the semi-main event is Amasaka, Atsuki Aogi, and Hiromu Takahashi taking on Master Wato, Rising Hayato, and Hayata. And then your main event is Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kento Miyahara, and Kaito Kiyomiya versus Okada, Yuma Aoyagi, and Kano. So a lot of matches on this card. Mostly, aside from just the one Umino versus Yoshitatsu, that's the only singles match. Everything else is all tag matches here. Real quick before we move on, anything that you guys see here that it's kind of whetting your appetite?
I mean, anytime you get Ishii mixing it up with Kitamiya, Masa Kitamiya, that'll be fun, and Daiki Inaba and Inamura, like all three of those guys, I feel like have good chemistry with Ishii.
Yeah, and I'm thinking the top two matches, like where you have all the top stars from the heavyweight division and then the top stars from the junior heavyweight division, those are both probably gonna be pretty outstanding, and a lot of I think there's good matchmaking taking place up and down the card here, really. But I don't know how it's going to be a really good card. It's going to be really fun. I don't know how necessary it is to see this show.
Right. It's going to be a pay-per-view on NJPW World.
The next day we have New Japan Road. This is leading up to, I guess, what's next? G1 Climax?
For New Japan, yeah.
Yeah. So New Japan Road, June 10th. The G1 Climax 33 block announcements will take place on the show. And then we have 7 matches. We've got Yuto Nakashima versus Kosei Fujita in Young Lion action. Great Bash Heel will take on Bolton Oleg and Oscar Luebe. Wonder who's going to win that one. Third match, Chaos team of Yo, Taguchi, Yano, and Yoshihashi take on the House of Torture team of Dick Togo, Sho, Yujiro, and Evil. Fourth match of the night, Francesco Akira, TJP, and Aaron Hinari of United Empire take on the Bull Club team of Dan Maloney, Clark Connors, and Geto. Fifth match of the night, Oiwa and Goto take on Bullet Club's new team, the War Dogs, Alex Coughlin and Gabriel Kidd. So we're going to get our first look at this new Bullet Club tag team making their debut. Semi-main event, Wato, Ishii, Tanahashi, and Okada will take on Tiger Mask 4, Desperado, Ren Narita, and Shota Umino. And then your main event is an elimination style match where Just Five Guys, team of Sanada, Taichi, Kanemaru, and Doki, and Taka Michinoku take on the LIJ team of Naito, Shingo, Yota Tsuji, Hiromu, and Bushi. So looks like Tsuji is still, for the time being, slotted with LIJ in that main event there.
Yeah. Tony, do you want to stick around for the closing of the show, or do you need to head out?
I'll stick around with you guys.
All right, cool. So moving on to the news here, Will Ospreay did an interview with Chris Van Leet, and then was addressing his contract status. We know that he said that his contract's set to expire in February of 2024. And then Ospreay said on the Van Leet show that he doesn't want to move to the United States, says he's very confident that him and New Japan are going to work something out because he just doesn't want to live in America. Ospreay said, that's my full stop thing. I just don't want to. He admitted he's tipping his hand a bit by saying he doesn't want to live in the U.S. And I'm basically saying, well, we'll sort something out with NJPW.
Worker's going to work. I will say this, though, in defense of Ospreay, this is something he's been saying for years and years now. Like, he's had his contract come up, and he's always said that he has no intention of working in or living in America. He didn't want to go. He had offers from WWE. He didn't go there. When Ring of Honor was still, a major thing and there was no AEW, he was working there, and he did not enjoy working and traveling and living in America. He'll come here periodically to work shows, but he doesn't like America for whatever that is. He just doesn't want to live there. So I'm not saying that there couldn't hypothetically be like Tony Khan or Vince McMahon or whoever it is that owns WWE in a couple of years, if they want to cut the check. I'm sure there's probably, and I'm just guessing, I'm sure there's got to be a number that would be enticing enough to maybe get this guy to cross the bridge. But, he seems to really love New Japan. So I wouldn't be surprised if he is being genuine, because he's been pretty consistent in that message for like 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah, I think the only difference is now, I think he has a little bit more other people talking in his ear now. We know he talks to Jericho a lot. He's got a lot of advice from Jericho on how to be a heel, and you could have guys like that kind of say, hey, you need to get your big money run in America.
I mean, I wouldn't begrudge him if that ended up being his path. Obviously there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of money to be made over here. But at the same time, there is that whole thing where like they've never really fully, completely made a foreigner the top guy in New Japan. Mm-hmm. Like there's been guys who've had runs, Kenny, Hogan, Vader, but like they've always kind of been under somebody else. Yeah. I am kind of wondering if like maybe Ospreay like wants that to be part of his legacy. Like, I'm the one guy that really actually made it to the top and wasn't subjugated to an Okada or a Tanahashi or a Naito.
Yeah.
Because they've never had a foreigner be the ace in this company ever.
Yeah, definitely would be interesting to see if that is something, his goal, and does he continue to stick with New Japan to kind of try to achieve that goal. So in other news, we have our first 2 title matches set for New Japan Strong's Independence Day shows. So on night 1, Catch 2-2 will defend the junior tag team titles against Dan Maloney and Clark Connors. And then the main event for night 2, Kenta will defend the Strong Openweight Championship against Eddie Kingston.
Nice.
Then we'll have New Japan versus All Japan at the Blue Justice 12 event on June 18th. The Triple Crown champion, Yuji Nagata, will join Tanahashi, Kojima, and Master Wato to face All Japan's Yuma Anzai, Atsuki, Yuma Aoyagi, and Kento Miyahara. And like we mentioned earlier in the show, for the first time, Fantastica Mania Festival is headed to Mexico June 30th. CMLL will present Fantastica Mania. And so we have some matches announced for that. Ayudaz, Captain Suicida, and Hombre Bala Jr. will take on La Ola Negra and Okamura. We'll have a Revelos Incredibles de Amazonas tag match with, I have no idea how to say any of these people's names, but Stephanie Vaquer is in the match. Tiger Mask will take on El Satanico. El Desperado will take on Mascara Dorada 2.0. Atlantis Jr., Mystico, and Soberano Jr. will take on Bushi, Naito, and Teton. And then what looks to be the main event right now is going to be for the NWA World Historic Welterweight title. Our good friend Rocky Romero will defend against Volador Jr.
That should be a good match.
Well, they've been building to it for a while now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. you gotta wonder if she hadn't got injured. I gotta think that there was a good chance that Mercedes Moné.
Manette.
I wasn't even trying to be funny. I just messed up. I think she probably was planning to be on this show. Don't you think?
You think?
Well, I mean, she's talked about like going to Mexico and doing the,
Bro, she was there for like 3 weeks earlier this year and some of last year.
She's gone many times and like has always wanted to work Arena Mexico, and they're working Arena Mexico. I kind of get the feeling after that Stephanie Vicar match that like had she not been injured, we'd probably be seeing her on this show.
Maybe, yeah. That would have been cool. In other news, Kenta defeated Nick Wayne for the Defy Championship this past weekend. So I guess Kenta will be doing more U.S. dates. Then
I guess Nick Wayne ain't got that dog in him, is what I guess.
Dragon Gate reveal is a part of their Rainbow Gate 2023 Day 1 event that the current IWGP Junior Champion Hiromu Takahashi will be appearing for the promotion on their July 2nd event in Kobe. Like we mentioned earlier, Lance Archer stated that he's been out with a torn triceps injury, and that's why he hasn't wrestled much of 2023. And then last news item here, we had some New Japan guys on this past Friday's AEW Rampage. Zack Sabre Jr. defended the TV title against Action Andretti. Willow defended the Strong Women's title against Emi Sakura. And then Shibata defended the Ring of Honor Pure Championship against Lee Moriarty. So, Forbidden Door season, lots of New Japan guys on Rampage.
I wonder
Is Shibata only doing pure stuff right now?
Yeah.
So far, yeah. I think with Hiromu going to Dragon Gate, maybe we could get him and Yamato.
Yeah, it's him and Yamato.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. It's already on the poster for the Kobe World.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Bro, maybe we could get him versus Yamato for the title.
Yeah, that'd be
I
dope.
sent it to somebody yesterday. Yeah, it's on the poster for Kobe World, them two.
Nice. Well, we just got a couple questions here, and then we're going to get out of here. True Life Soldier says, as a big LIJ fan, I've been following Naito's rise to the top of New Japan for 7 years, and it's been quite the roller coaster ride, filled with short-lived highs and tons of grief. My question to y'all is the following. In the near future, do you guys see a possible dominant, in all caps, Naito reign as IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, or has the window of opportunity closed on that chapter? Tanahashi held New Japan's top belt for more than 1,300 combined days, and Okada for more than 2,000 combined days, whereas Naito only had it for more than 300. With 3 reigns and only 3 combined defenses compared to Okada's 5 reigns and 36 combined defenses, it seems like the LIJ leader got the short hand of the stick booking-wise. It's especially annoying when everybody knows he's still the top merch seller and arguably the most popular wrestler in New Japan. Maybe something happened between Naito and Gedo's wife that only the 3 of them know about.
Interesting question here. I mean, unfortunately, Naito's just not the ace, and I don't think he's ever going to be the ace, especially at this point in his career. Maybe he will get another world title run. Like I'm speculating, maybe we get Naito Sonata at the Dome next year, and maybe Naito will win there and get another title run. But at this point in his career, I have a hard time seeing him have a long title run where he eclipses like Okada's last big long title reign. He's just not the ace.
I mean, I agree. Like when you look through the annals of history, there's times where there's guys that have all the tools, all the talent in the world, but there's just bigger stars above them. You look at Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. Someone's got to be Triple H. Okay. I mean, you look at Sting and Ric Flair. Someone's got to be Luger. All right. That's Tetsuya Naito, man. I'm sorry. And I got to be honest with you. I don't know that he's the top merch seller in Japan. He might be, but I actually don't know that. I don't have those numbers. And I'm not denying that he is or isn't or anything like that. It is just kind of a situation of timing. He got caught in between Tanahashi and Okada. And sometimes when you get caught in between two of the greatest of all time, it doesn't matter how great you are, like you just can't live up to that, you know? There's a reason why when people talk about boxing, they're always talking about the eras of Ali and Tyson. But no one wants to talk about Larry Holmes. Okay? Larry Holmes is one of the greatest fighters of all time. I literally put him probably in my top 6 heavyweights of all time. But guess what? Everyone really just wants to talk about Ali and Tyson. You got Ali, that's your Tanahashi. You got your Tyson, that's your Okada. Unfortunately, Naito just came along a little too in the middle, and he got caught between two of the greatest, you know? You got Bruno, you got Hogan, and then you got Backlund.
You're going to say something, Tony?
No, just laughing at Josh's analogy.
Yeah, I mean that's facts, and I mean also Naito, he'll continue to be a top guy, and also you'll always have that kind of top babyface guy that's beloved by the crowd, but they just are not going to always get the big one. And also another thing too, he got hit with the COVID reign. He won the title right before COVID happened, so maybe he would have had a long reign in 2020. We don't know.
When you also putting it into go ahead.
He doesn't need a long title reign. Naito's already slotted at the top. Would it help him anymore?
In the eyes of his fans, and he has a rabid fan base, this is essential because he's never been the ace, and they will never be satisfied until he's the ace. And you know what? Like, let's put this in the context of like another fandom. Like, people love Kenny Omega. He was never the ace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's people.
He was just the champion.
He was just the champ. I mean, he was treated respectfully, but he was not the ace.
Right, and even his title reign was not out of this world.
And you know what? When we put this in the context of more appropriate historical analysis with New Japan, there's always kind of been these dark aces, these guys that were really over, but were never the true top guy, and every generation had one of them. Chono was never, Chono had one title reign, and he had one, and it was only for like a month because he got injured, and he was on top in this company for a decade. He just happened to come along at the same time as Muto and Hashimoto. And unfortunately, Chono wasn't Hashimoto, and he wasn't Muto. And how do you compete with those guys?
Yeah.
The same thing happened to Tenru. God, what was his name?
I know who you.
We were talking about him earlier. Oh my God, it's gonna bother me
Choshu?
so bad. Yeah, Choshu. Choshu came along, hottest guy in the history of the company. Literally, like Stone Cold Steve Austin levels of popularity before Stone Cold Steve Austin even existed. But you know what? He wasn't what the company wanted. He wasn't Fujinami. He wasn't Inoki. He was the Dark Ace. They've always had a Dark Ace. Even Nakamura, he got these mega runs in the early part of his career, but he wasn't Tanahashi. Ultimately, he couldn't compete with Tanahashi. Tanahashi became the man, and he always played second fiddle to him. I do think there is room for a lengthy, we're kind of fantasy booking, you and I, and we think there's probably a Sonata Naito big money match down the line. They could put the title on Naito, right?
Mm-hmm.
He could have a lengthy run, and maybe that would satisfy some of these people. But the reality is, look at the numbers. Okay, he has a definitive title run. What now? It doesn't matter. Okada's already got 5 title reigns, 36 defenses. I think if you combine with the new title, we're talking about more than that. What are we doing? He's already had a Hall of Fame career, isn't he? Didn't he already make the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I think he got voted in last year, right?
He got voted in. Like, what more do you need?
Who,
Like,
Naito?
yeah,
Yeah, in the Observer Hall of Fame.
the only Hall of Fame that matters, the real one.
But I think, Tony kind of hit the nail on the head with saying, will it get him more over? Like, I don't think a long title run's going to get him any more over than he is right now.
And he's
like, I feel like Sonata, a title helped Sonata,
right.
but like it's not going to help Naito. I already view Naito as that level.
Now, one thing, Naito's never held this title. It is technically a new
we're talking
title.
about the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it might be good for him to get into the lineage and all that. And maybe you give him a dominant run, but what is that going to do? You know what I mean? Like, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe there's business on the horizon that could be made out of this that we're not seeing, whatever. But honestly, at this point in 2023 or 2024, if you put the title on Naito, he's the transitional guy to the new generation.
To the next guy.
Coming.
Yeah.
He's not like, that's all it would be. It would be congratulations. Thank you for everything you did. But now we're going to go with the new generation.
Come hold this spear from Tsuji.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, that's what's going to happen. And Naito's body has been breaking down for years and years, and he's not the performer he was even 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. How old is he?
He's like,
it doesn't matter.
Late 30s, right?
He's in his late 30s, but like he's got the knees of a 50-year-old man.
Them knees are busted.
He can turn it on with the right guy on the right night. If you put him in there with Osprey or Okada, sure, but like he's not turning up like he did 4 or 5 years ago. Like, that's not happening. Like, Naito's knees are not walking in that building. They're not walking through that door. Oh man. Anyways, last question. MJ does PR says, what's next for Hanma?
I mean, he needs to follow the route of all the other old guys and win a title from another promotion. He needs to go to All Japan, challenge Nagata, or go to Noah, go somewhere, get him a belt.
He could go to like Freedoms. He could go to Big Japan and win the deathmatch title. That's about it. That's all he's got.
Yeah. All right. Last thing here before we close the show: recommended match of the week. So last week for the excursion pick, I chose Zack Sabre Jr. versus Michael Oku from Rev Pro's Revolution Rumble from March 26, 2023.
Okay, so I got a chance to check this out. Dave was pretty favorable on it. He gave it like 4.25. It's sitting at a 8.04 on Cage Match, so pretty good. I think the company did a great job presenting it as like a dream match, so it really had that big match feel, or as big as like a Rev Pro match can kind of feel in this day and age. I don't know for me that I see it that way. Like, even though I like Michael Oku and I know he's been elevated in their kayfabe, I don't see him as like, to me, a dream match would be like Zack Sabre coming in and wrestling Pac.
Yeah.
But it was definitely like a really good technical match and very much about like one-upmanship. It didn't feel like Zack just ate Michael Oku alive or anything like that. It was pretty fun, but it did kind of drag just a bit. They went just shy of 25 minutes, and I don't know if I need a 25-minute physical chess match between Zack Sabre Jr. and Michael Oku, even though I feel like maybe also I'm a little spoiled on these faster paced Zack Sabre TV title matches,
Mm-hmm.
There were some really cool counters and things like that, but they kind of teetered for my taste on the line of like doing like the first 5 to 10 minutes was like too slow. And then once it got going, they like did too much. And it was like the tones here are like really off. At the end of it though, Zack Sabre ended up winning like very definitively and kind of just gaining control and making it clear that like, though Oku's good, he's not on my level. And there were some really great, dramatic near submissions at the end. But like for me, I'm at the point where like I don't think Zach's going to tap out to anything.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to like believe in as good of a seller as he is and as intricate of a submission someone puts him in. Like, I don't think he's going to get tapped, you know? So that kind of sucks the drama out a little bit for me. A lot of people would probably call this a grapple fuck match. So it really kind of depends. And especially like with a guy like Michael Oku, you would normally expect him to do a lot more high flying and stuff like that. There was a lot less of this than you would have expected. There's some good fighting spirit spots, but I'd probably go like, I'm probably lower on this than most people. I know Dave went 4.25. I'm probably like 3 3/4. That's just my personal taste. And, you know, I like the graps, so I don't know.
All right. Then for recommended match of the week, you chose Young Bucks versus Okada and Ishii from the 2018 Australia tour, and this was a really fun matchup. I would classify this as a
house show.
Yeah, a Young Bucks house show matchup, which is still great. But when you've seen a ton of Young Bucks matches, you know, Josh, we've seen some Young Bucks house show stuff. Like, they're gonna do all the big spots, and they're gonna be funny and do the, you know, do something cool, Nick, and like they're gonna do all the talking, all like the Lucha Libre and all the kind of the cool,
Lucha Libre.
Yeah, all their kind of cool, funny spots, which is fun. I love Young Bucks, but if this was on a bigger stage, on a bigger show, it'd probably be a better matchup. But these guys are out here. It's Australia. They're having fun. You know, they're good friends with Okada, so there was kind of like a lot of funny, kind of fun interactions. And Okada, you know, working on the Too Sweet fingers to as his body work for the match, and Ishii was no nonsense with those guys coming in, you know, bulldozing all those guys. And, you know, a funny comment by Nick is like, maybe we should work heavyweight after he took down Ishii. But really fun. Like I said, Young Bucks house show style matchup, hitting all the big spots, you know, going for the Meltzer driver, more bang for your buck. But ultimately, it was an Okada rainmaker that put the Young Bucks away, and Okada and Ishii won.
Nice. Yeah, keep in mind that was their first match wrestling heavyweights in the company. Well, I mean, not technically, but like that was like their first like foray into the heavyweight division.
Yeah. All right, what you got for excursion match of the week for this week?
Let's do that Tsuji world heavyweight title match down in CMLL.
All right. And then for the recommended match of the week, we're going to go back to 2012, Best Super Juniors, the Bastard Pack versus Jushin Thunder Liger.
That match sucks, bro.
It does?
I'm just playing. So, Tony, before we get out of here, obviously we've had you doing reviews. We've had wrestlers on the show before, but we've never had a wrestler do a review with us before. So that's really cool of you. But
glad to be the first.
Is there anything that you want to tell the listeners, where you're working, how they can find you, what you got cooking up, anything like that?
I mean, right now we're trying to break into the Northeast. I did some CZW earlier this year, and Fabu's been a mainstay at CZW. So we're trying to branch that out to like New York, New Jersey, try and take over that area. We've pretty much dominated. York, huh? You got to get to where the guys are. We've already taken over Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, so we got to go somewhere else. Maybe Texas, just trying to find new places to work, new tag teams to wrestle.
The companies that you guys are currently working for, you named some of those like southern states. Like what have you guys been doing over there?
We're current tag champions in Birmingham, Alabama. So that's North Alabama. We're Triple Crown tag champs in, let's see, the companies are Biloxi, Mississippi, Mobile, and Foley, Alabama, which is like basically Pensacola. Huh. So it's like that whole Gulf Coast area. And those are the two main companies we work for. This one in the South has Scott Armstrong work. He's like the producer there. So we like to go up there and see Scott, work with him.
And if someone wanted to find you guys, like, are any of these like matches or promotions like available, or
all of our matches go up on YouTube. We used to rely on the promoters, and we found out we can't do that. So we got our own young boy to come around with a camera and videotape our matches, and we put them up on YouTube.
It's not me.
It's not you. Josh wouldn't be our young boy. We had to go get a new green boy. An even younger boy. It's on all of our matches are posted to Fabu's page on YouTube, which is just Fabu Andre.
Nice. And do you guys got any merch stores online anywhere?
We do have merch. You can go to Pro Wrestling Tees. You can search my name or Fabu's name, and you should be able to get our tag team shirt. And Fabu has some of his singles. I'm still working on getting some merch for myself.
Nice. And what about social media? You guys are using Twitter or anything like that?
I just reopened my Twitter because I was coming on here. I'm not very active, but you can follow me if you want to. It's Tony Donati 1, and then my Instagram, I'm much more active. That's Tony.Donati, Donati.
Nice. And I just looked this up. Yeah, so it's Fabu Andre. If you guys aren't sure how to spell that, it's Faboo Andre, like Andre the Giant, and you'll see a very flamboyant, painted up man who looks like a butterfly there in the pictures. And yeah, it looks like you guys got a lot of promos, a lot of matches, some vlogs and stuff like that going on.
Yeah, he thinks he's Matt Cardona, so he's filming everything that we do, and it's starting to get annoying.
Well, it might be annoying, but you guys need to be doing the self-promoting. And I'm seeing some
I agree.
You guys got matches with Blanco Loco, Eddie Torres, Matt Sydal.
Yeah, we beat State Line. Make sure if you see those guys, you tell them. We beat Eddie Torres and Damian Angel. We beat Blanco. We beat Mike Jackson.
Nice.
We'll be at GCW this next month coming up.
I would just like to point out you guys have never beaten me.
No, we've never beaten you, Josh. You're undefeated.
Yeah, you know, awesome. I've seen Tony wrestle several times here throughout the Florida independent scene. Of course, I've seen him at the side dojo, and man, this guy is really good. Check him out on YouTube. Check his matches out. Like I've told Josh, you remind me kind of like a Chris Benoit with the kind of intensity you have in the ring and the hard hitting and your suplexes, and so very hard hitting, fast pace. Yeah, man, and so definitely I think people need to kind of catch on to you guys. Follow them on YouTube, Twitter, check their stuff out because these guys are the real deal.
Yeah, you never know. We might be reviewing you guys in one of these Super Juniors one of these days.
Hey, I mean, let's see. What was it? The All Together show had Sean Legacy on it. He was the guy they chose at the Noah tryout I was out at. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you did a tryout with Noah, and you've gone and trained in Mexico and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah, I stayed in Mexico for a month for one stint, and then I went back later, which is how I know Stephanie, which is why I watched the Long Beach show.
Real quick, how was the Pro Wrestling Noah tryout?
It was fun. It was a good time. I got to meet Nakajima and Mayor Fuji.
Nice.
So I slapped my guy and I popped them too, and I was like, all right, that's good enough for me. They started laughing when I smacked him in the face. I go, all right, that's all I need.
Oh, well, that's awesome, man. Listeners, go out, check out Tony Donati and Fabu Andre. Check out all their independent work. Thanks for joining us, Tony. We'll definitely have to do it again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, that's going to wrap things up for us this week. Next week, we'll be back to discuss New Japan Road. So if you enjoyed today's show, please consider making a donation. Visit socialsuplex.com/donate. Click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure you connect with us on social media. On Twitter, the show is at KI Strong Style. You can follow me at Jeremy L. Donovan. Follow the network at Social Suplex. On Facebook, you can follow us at Social Suplex. Also, you can find us in the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group. On Instagram, we're at Social Suplex. On Reddit, I'm the Pro Black Guy. Josh is Keeping It Strong Style. And you can always email me, Jeremy at socialsuplex.com. Check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. The Grave Consequences, hosted by Caleb and Maserati. All Things Elite, hosted by Floyd and Austin. The AEW Match Guide podcast, hosted by Sir Sam. And The Great Match Generator, hosted by Danny Kukler. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.